Hey y'all. I'm sorry I'm running a little late trying to make sure mama settled in and she got everything that she need. What's going on? How's everybody doing? What's up? What's up? What's up? See, Terry came up in here and dropped them that disclaimer. Thank you, brother Terry. I really appreciate you for doing that. What's going on? I'm gonna give some folks a few more minutes to come on in before I get started. It's the few people I need to contact because they don't get their notifications like that. So I'm gonna have to contact them personally, and we can go from there. But today we are going to be talking about human trafficking, and I have a couple of videos that we're going to educate ourselves about, um, and we're going to go from there. I hope everybody is having a wonderful Monday. It's been a busy Monday for me. So far, it's been a busy Monday for me. Okay. Who is these people, child? Okay. What is this? All right. All right. So we getting ready. I'm about to get ready and get started because I do have to do some multitasking as well while I am live and go from there. I see these YouTube streets is pretty busy and getting kind of hectic. So, baby, I'm gonna let that do what it do, and let me get on and run these watch hours up. Okay, so the first video that I'm going to play is from Ali Carter. As most people know, that Ali Carter was allegedly one of Diddy's victims. And she pretty much predicted a lot of things that's actually going on that she actually predicted probably about 2-3 years ago, that certain things was going to come forward, and certain things was going to happen. And we're going to look into those videos and listen to her as far as her experiences and stuff of that nature, and some things. Look at some videos that she actually made before any of the Diddy allegations actually came about. So that's what we're going to start off with, and then we are going to go into another video um, about human trafficking as well, and try to get some history on it, probably from like things, situations that was going on back in the 80s and 90s, and go from there. So let me go ahead and share my screen with y'all, and we gonna get to it.
A lot's about to come out. Another arrest is coming again. Watch for those fires. Explosions make fires too. Explosions make accidental fires too. And then, oops, we don't know how that happened. And then you look into it and you see that it's tied to something that's tied to something that's tied to something that's tied to trafficking. And then you realize, oh, it wasn't just an explosion or a fire. It wasn't an accident. How many things does it take If people can get in the streets over a convict, why the hell can't people get in the streets over the children? What is going to fuel your rage for the children? Why are you waiting on a release to fuel your rage? People should be like, what the? We're talking about kids? Huh? What? No. Somebody better answer something. How many more kids do you need? How many more need to be swept under the rug? How many more need to be silenced for you to say, oh, enough? It's all of our war.
Maya knows how quality care can bring out a smile. But it's been a few dog years since she was able to enjoy a smile of her own. Good thing Aspen Dental offers affordable complete care all in one place. And new patients without insurance get $29 exams and x-rays, plus 20% off treatment plans for everyone. Loving our patients unconditionally. It's one more way. Aspen Dental is in your corner. Come and get your love.
But enough about us. Without further ado, let's get started. Why should you publish a book? And
What are you going to do to fight?
There are underground tunnels that are under the schools, elementary, junior, and high schools all over the place. They exist everywhere.
You've been in.
I'm sorry.
You've seen
Yes.
these. Been in these.
Yes.
Where do
Yes,
they lead?
They lead to amusement parks. They lead to hospitals, cemeteries, schools, celebrity homes, psychic shops. They lead everywhere.
You mentioned in one of your previous interviews that it's like a whole other world down there. Can you describe it to us? What happens down there?
Yes, there's every means of transportation. There's every walk of life. There's cities. There's different air supply. There's at 15, my pimp put me on an order to go to the Getty, Los Angeles, California Museum. I was told I was going to walk through a field trip. I was taken with another girl. I call a friend of mine, and we were put in dresses and sandals. We were taken in a sports car. We're not taken in a sports car. We pulled up to the museum in a sports car. We were told that we were trying to give a different appearance. So we were walking through, I remember walking through kids. I remember walking in and seeing school buses. I remember walking in and seeing children and chaperones through the museum. And I remember people staring at us as if it was as if we were somebody special. We walked through the museum. There are, employees that know exactly what's going on in the museum. They block the doors. They know where the entrances and exits are. They take their orders from someone else when someone is trying to get underground through the Getty Los Angeles Museum. I was walked through. I remember taking stairs, going through a garden, taking an elevator. I was drugged, but I was walking. There many situations in trafficking where you can be alert. Some of my pimps did not let me see where I was going. Sometimes I was so drugged that I was carried into a job, dressed, and then placed in a room and waiting for my order because I couldn't move myself. So at this time, I was able to walk. I was able to see what was going on. And I remember walking through. I remember talking to certain people after we got so far. I remember my ears popping. I remember feeling like I'm choking because the air was so weird. We got to a certain point and there was, it looked like a basement. It looked like where they keep things that were not public display in the museum. And after getting so far, we were in tunnels. We were put on cars, drove to a certain point, far. I seen um, sorry, I seen cars, boats. There's trains, there's buses. There is every means of transportation under the ground. There's a city under the ground. There are there's a different air supply that kicks in after you get so low.
And who goes down there?
I was after getting down there. I talked to a few people. I was able to meet celebrities, actors. I'm not a person that knows somebody just by name or by face or or right away. I was somebody who remembered somebody from a movie or something like that, or something that they did. I was able to speak with somebody that was so cocky. And I remember telling him, I know you from Look Who's Talking. That's all. And I remember everybody laughing at me because I was 15 and I'm like, the only thing that I know you from, John Travolta, is Look Who's Talking. I know there were many comedians, Kathy Griffin, Robin Williams.
I think CSU was the right fit for me because they worked with me. I was a 50-some-odd-year-old college student working.
On an order for Joe Biden. I was taken to somewhere where there were there was an orgy party. There was a contest going on. There's a certain part that has a shrine where I was taken, and what I mean by shrine is it was bones. It was things that have happened to other people. They take shrines. They take like a trophy, whether it was a ripped shirt, panties, hands, pieces of flesh. There's a smell that you can't even flinch towards down there. But you will. There's certain people that you don't talk about because you just don't. There were certain people that I seen down there, from Beyonce, Jay-Z. He don't tell on P. Diddy, but P. Diddy.
So you said you don't tell on these people. Is that like a code that all victims adhere to? They don't talk about this stuff?
Yes, you don't, because nobody's going to believe you. You're nothing to them. You don't count. You're just a toy. You're not essential, as they call them. You're expendable. And as a child in that situation, I wasn't the type of person that was fighting all the time, because I started to learn who I was. I started to learn my pimp. I started to learn what I was in. I started to learn that you don't fight. You you watch what you say, you watch what you do. And at some point I stopped fighting people, and I started to accept the fact of what I was told, that I was special enough to be with this person. I was special enough to be in the eyes of a celebrity or somebody who was on the radio or on TV. And I accepted that. I was, while I was down there was something that happened. I don't even know what to call it. There was something that sounded like an earthquake, something that sounded like people got into a fight. There was a shooting. I was taken from one room to another, and then from there, someone left me there. I started moving and trying to get out of where I was. I was with the friend that I came in with, who was freaking out. She was hyperventilating. She was crying. She was trying everything to get out, and it made us get deeper in. The lower you go, the harder it is to get out. No one knows where the doors are. No one knows where the exits are. No one knows where some of these tunnels lead to. So it's not as easy to just say, I'm just going to get out, or I'm just going to try to find a way out. If you are walked in, you're escorted in, somebody has to help you get out. After what happened, we had to leave. Again, I don't know what was going on. I'm still not sure what happened that night. There's a baby farm that exists. There's all ages. There's kids who don't act like kids. They act like wild animals. They hiss at you. They act like wild animals. They've never. I know some of them have been there since probably birth or before. There's children of all ages. There's people who have been there since they were babies, but they're adults now.
And how long do they stay there? Till what age?
I don't know. Till whatever happens to them happens, and whatever their time is. There's baby farms that exist underground. Your hospitals are complicit in giving babies to baby farms. And when I say, I'm talking newborn babies fresh out of the hospital. I've seen a lot of things, and I've seen a lot of my friends die.
Family proof your family with Life 360.
Don't worry, we'll be back. I can't believe they're leaving. Like who?
There's so much that goes on. There's so much that goes on.
And it's not so these particular things that you're talking about now, these extreme, horrific acts, this is reserved for the elites. Is that correct?
Yes. They get away with eating, beating, torturing, buying children from many places, and it also feeds their career. Selling your soul doesn't necessarily mean selling your soul for money. It means selling out for things that you're willing to do, a dedication to what they call their God. Then people compete with that. Everybody is competing with that, trying to do something equal or worse.
Are they open about who their God is?
Sometimes. Yeah, some people act as if they're Christian or other religions that we all know of, but and I was buried alive. I was saved and told that I had to give my life to them because they saved me. Um, they're it's in everybody's face. It's it's something that happens every day.
So a few people were asking, or someone was asking, whether all of this took place in America. But from what I understand, you've also been to Buckingham Palace. Is that correct?
Yes. In my time at CBS, I was taken over borders. I was taken out of the country. That should have been a problem. That should have been an FBI problem, but it wasn't. Um, I was taken for jobs over over the weekend for a few days at a time. Um, sure. When I was taken to Buckingham Palace, I was uh, drugged. Uh, I was I was told where I was going. I was told that I would be out for transport. I was told wasn't told that it was an auction. um, I was my pimp kept telling me that I was coming home. Um, I thought at 15 I was married to him. I had very expensive wedding rings, and I was you know accepting what was happening. And not fighting it. And I thought we were married. I was trying to make sure that I stayed with him and not, he didn't sell me like he did his other girls. So I went into an auction there um, with, and auctions are not what people think they are. Auctions are um, sometimes you're standing or tied up or having to lay down naked. Some people are allowed to take samples, which means they're allowed to touch you. They're allowed to, but I was taken to too many auctions. I was,
Every auction is different, is what you're saying?
yes.
Right.
And I was tied to tables. I was treated like an animal. So
You mentioned that you had this attachment to the pimp. Is this something that happens to a lot of victims? They form an attachment to these people?
yes, yes, you do. You're promised so many things. You're persuaded in ways that um, you need, something that you're missing. Um, people, look at things like, oh, at 15, at 16, you're a troubled teen, but usually there's symptoms to a real problem by the time that you're a teenager. And acting out just doesn't mean that you're doing things because your parents said no or something you don't agree with all the time. Um, I was in foster care. I traveled with a trash bag. I was always somebody's toy. I was always somebody's punching bag. I was always somebody's satisfaction for something they needed, their selfish reasons. Um, I felt seen. I felt cared about. And sometimes it takes just a little bit for you to attach to someone and being scared. And how many times would it take for you to be abused by someone? How many times would it take for you to learn how angry and evil they can get? for you to stop fighting, for you to stop. If you can't get out of the situation, your survival instincts kick in. And they do things that will make you agree with whatever they're trying to get you into.
So then, well, actually, before we go back to Buckingham Palace, you mentioned to me the first time that we spoke that there are a lot of victims who are upset with you because you're speaking out, who may even still be involved in this. Is this because they feel like they are actually special, protected by these people, and they don't want that exposed? They actually want that to continue?
Yes, they feel like they're working. They're told that they're, if you pay somebody, if you give someone something, then they will give you something in return. So that means that if you've never had a home, they'll give you a home. If you wanted to be on your own and be able to have your own car, or be able to do the things that you need to be able to do, they promise you that if you just do A, B, C, or D, then you can have all of that. And then once you do A, then it gets way deeper before you get to B.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Buckingham Palace, you said that there was an auction there. Were there, again, elites present at that auction? Were there regular people? Who goes there?
Military. All kinds of people, military, judges, elites. International orders. People will fly into these auctions to pick up someone from other countries to take them back to their country. It's legal. Trafficking is legal in other countries. You can marry a 6-year-old to a 50-year-old. That's legal. There's sex tourism that's legal. But sometimes they want what they call different products. So they will travel and invest.
How do they communicate? How do they communicate with one another, Ali? How does one of these sick people say to a pimp, "I want this"? Do they have secret communication channels?
They do, but there's things that are out there like Craigslist, everyday sites, online sites that are hidden in plain sight. Messages are hidden in plain sight. If you go onto Craigslist right now, you would be able to find people who are offering jobs that are undercover to be able to pick up products, which are people. I know everybody has heard of the Wayfair scandal. That's real. There are many ways that they can communicate to be able to sell and trade. You are passing a trafficker, you're watching one, you are looking at one every day. Your sports, your elite, your doctors, your attorneys, your judges, your lawyers, just because, everybody wants to just look at the elite and go up to the top, but that's not it. And, I've been abused by a lot of people in elite places, but that's nothing compared to what has happened with the people in low places and the people in the middle. Your everyday trash man, your everyday social worker, your everyday teacher. There's a trafficker that's around you every day, no matter where you are. And people just don't realize that. They always want to go straight to the top because they don't want to look at the things that are local and around them. And this is not just you're not just looking for the scariest person that you can think of that looks like they're going to eat you. That's the TV mentality and the narrative that people want you to see as in human trafficking, that you're going to be looking for this big and scary person, and it's not. in trafficking, it's not just about sex. It's not just about a bad job gone wrong. You can sell drugs, drug trafficking. You can sell drugs and get a shipment of drugs once or twice, and then still have to try to find that shipment again and may not be able to get it. But a human you can sell over and over and over again until there is literally nothing left. And this is what they do. Organ harvesting is real. There's the joke of you can go somewhere and you can get a heart cheaper than you can at the hospital. The hospital prices to get a kidney transplant are insane. And sometimes they're given to people because they put them in a ranking because the hospitals are complicit, and people wonder where that stuff comes from, and it comes from victims. Then they're going to say, hey, I can make so much money with this one. If I can get a shipment of 3 more, they have to go out and they have to be able to get them all together if they want to sell them all together to the traffickers who place them somewhere, or who are able to do the transportation, or who are making those deals, the major deals. Then if a pimp was supposed to get them to another trafficker, it's not just right. So many things can happen in a matter of seconds, but you don't usually go straight into jobs. If someone grabs you, if you meet a pimp on the street, if you meet someone online, you don't just straight out say, okay, I'm going straight to elite escorting. No, that's not the way it works. It depends on if you're a virgin or not. It depends on who you are. It depends on who's looking for you. It depends on what they need, and it depends on how angry they get. Right. It's an extreme process. It's crazy. It's an industry. They're built into the perfect slave. You cannot have someone right off the street crying and losing their mind over a small job and go into an elite job, and it happens that way, unless it's a job where they want you crying and screaming. That's not going to work out. So yeah, it's a process.
You've got lots of people that doubt your story, Ali, you and many others that speak about these topics. What do you say to those people? Because you shared with me that you've actually had to be on the run essentially for several months now. What do you say to those people?
Welcome to Up Faith and Family, America's favorite streaming service that's safe for the whole family.
Hi, everyone.
It's up to you to do something. The burden of responsibility, and there's the burden and the responsibility of proof is on who's listening. When you make a call to Child Protective Services and you say, hey, I hear someone possibly abusing a kid. I don't know what's going on, but I need you to investigate that. The burden of proof then relies on that person that they called. I don't need anyone to do anything for me or believe me. It's not just happening to just me. It didn't just happen to just me. It happens every day. It happens all over the world. I know so many people that are sitting here can probably tell you that they only know a handful of people in their life that have not been abused, molested, in some type of horrific situation that they've had to get out of. Crimes against humanity is not a religious, gender, any type of other issue that anybody wants to point to. It's a humanity issue. It's my truth, and that's all. Truth is the truth. It's priceless. That's all I got.
And what is your aim in speaking out? Are you hoping that it'll give other victims the courage to speak out? Because I know that you said that you've got evidence, but you don't know where to take it.
At this point, yes, I just bringing awareness that people need to wake up. People need to see that the real pandemic is human trafficking. All roads lead to trafficking. So many survivors, so many victims that are still in this life call me a traitor. After I ran away, after I escaped, and did what I had to do, pimps were telling people that were around me, girls and guys that were around me, that I stole from them, that I made their debt deeper, that it was my fault because I left, that they have to work harder. The lies are insane, and I did what I had to do to take a minute to see that you don't have, there's not a condition to being loved, and to just being loved. There are no conditions, and you don't have to be someone's puppet, and you don't have to be someone's slave, and you don't have to be someone's sex toy. You don't have to do what someone tells you to do because they want satisfaction. It took me forever to realize that. It took me forever to see that somebody could possibly want me. I even pushed my mom away. By the time she tried to adopt me, I kept pushing her away because it was a lot for me to see that somebody actually wanted me. And I know it's a lot to take in. I know my story is a lot, but there are people way worse off than me. I'm blessed that these are the only things that have happened to me, because I know that so many people have it worse. So for them, please wake up. For them, please move. For them, please stand and fight, because there's so many people who need you to be their voice. There are so many souls that cannot rest. I've seen many of my friends die. I've seen many kids that I didn't get a chance to talk to or meet or know them personally. You will never get to hear their laugh, their favorite color. You will never get to know their real names. Because so many people want to push this under the rug, and so many people want to say it's not true and it doesn't happen. And it's better off to not listen to it because it's too dark and it's uncomfortable. So many people had to get uncomfortable and realize that there's something going on with this world, that things keep coming out and it's not making any sense to anyone. Where do you think it all comes from, and how many years do you think people have been working on it? And there are so many children who cry for their mama, and they're somebody to just help, somebody to do something, somebody to stop what's going on. And nobody wants to talk about them. Nobody wants to touch it at all. And it's wrong. It's wrong. And I don't care if you don't believe me. It happened to me.
T-back design in shapewear? Shapelex, are you kidding me? I'm tired of shapewear that doesn't shape my butt completely.
And it's happening everywhere. With the Maxwell trial, no one wants to open the black book. Those laptops matter. And no one wants to talk about the celebrities, the people that were involved, the people that worked for them, the people in the middle, the people on the bottom, the grunt workers, from the people who clean the sex toys to the people who made the orders and got onto the planes. You have not heard mainstream media talk about it whatsoever, but mainstream media will pull out another narrative for you to be distracted by, for you to be upset with somebody, to create division amongst races, to just fearmonger. But we won't talk about the things that are actually scary.
Have you seen a particular pattern? I mean, I know what my thoughts are around this, but biggest trial in, I don't know, ever, human history, and not a peep, yet we're talking about a variant with extremely mild symptoms as if it's going to end the planet.
Yeah.
I believe that's a distraction.
Exactly. A very smart variant that knows when you go into a restaurant, take a seat, and when you have food in your mouth. It's beyond ridiculous how well whoever runs things, I do not know who sits at the top, but it's sad how much they know that people are easily distracted, and how they play on everyone's intelligence, because they can tell you, look here, look there, be upset about this, be distracted by this, because please do not look towards the Maxwell trial. Please do not look towards the everyday people that you idolize, that you stream their music, that you sign their paychecks, that we put our monies into, or put our monies, excuse me. I'm a college student, I promise. I'm just really stressed out. Banks that we put our money into. I know people have heard about JP Morgan being involved in the Epstein trial. You know, stores that we buy our clothes from, Walmart, Wayfair, Target, food, fast food that we go into, when McDonald's is saying, hey, it's real chicken now, it's real meat now, but nobody was asking, well, what was it before? No one, you know, this is the app. There could be no bigger. This is bigger than the OJ trial. Everybody that will refuses to say anything about the trial, those are the people that you should be questioning. Mm-hmm. Especially any news anchor, news channel, local news. This should be something that you turn around to like you turn around to a 6-foot socially distanced COVID sticker. Everybody is talking about the wrong things. And trust me, if you knew what was really going on, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night. You would throw up the way I do every night. You would probably have equal to PTSD just from understanding what is happening. And everybody wants to wait until it's personal to say something or to do something. And why do we have to wait for it to get there? Everybody would rather say, you know, what's going on in the elite's home? What's happening in Beyonce's home? What's happening in Steven Tyler's home? Or what's happening in your home? Because, you know, you got to get your backyard first, and nobody wants to kick out that of the family. Nobody wants to talk about that person that we shouldn't be bringing around. Nobody ever wants to look at what's really going on.
What can parents do to protect themselves from this? Because this is real too, right?
Right. First of all, do not be in denial. Do not think that it cannot happen in mine. Do not think that I live in a nice home, or I live in a gated community, or I live somewhere that doesn't exist. Again, human trafficking doesn't have an age, sex, or preference on it. If they need their product, they need their product, and they will do what they have to do. When people start realizing what's really wrong, everyone will be able to come together and stop what's going on. This is human trafficking is a part of a very well-made machine. And it's not the type of machine that just a piece of it is broken. The whole machine needs to be taken down. The whole machine is done. And somebody needs to do something. And I pray that there is somebody in power, or somebody that has the clearance or the power to do something for everyone and to make everyone move. This is not just a money issue. You can't just throw money at this and it's just going to magically be okay. And you can't expect someone else to fix it. This takes people, everyday people, standing up. Your authorities are involved. Every authority that you think that you can trust is involved.
Everything is being watched from the basement and controlled from the basement.
What were you doing there?
I was targeting certain individuals.
Nobody ever thinks about the victims. Nobody. The victims' lives get turned around when the predators' lives want to just get announced. You slap them on the wrist and you bring up every source of trauma for the victim. But nobody wants to stop and think about that. We're not talking about the victims that are still going through the shit right now with other people who are running to cover their ass and deleting their social medias. Pink, Megan Fox, Tyra Banks, Steve Harvey. Why are you running? You know what a part of me feels like? You know what? Good, run. Because then you get to see how it feels to have to jump and throw everything that you give a damn about away for 2 seconds. Get a moment of peace for not a damn moment. Not a moment of peace. You take it and you run with it because you're happy about the peace. But then you see how it feels when they get shaky. You see how it feels when the world is a little quiet? Like, oh, my superstar, my idol. What about the victims? Our PTSD lives on every damn day that they did what they did. But it's only talked about when it's trending. We got legal evidence to drop. I just don't know what's the point. Yeah, I was at a Diddy party. I was one of the party favors. But I told you, nobody tells on Diddy. Maria Z, I did that interview in 2021. We made sure, I already knew that Diddy and Oprah is about to get arrested. I already knew that 7-8 months ago. We went and made sure there were sworn documents. We have them. When we went to Colorado for the A to Z event, we had a lot of legal evidence that we made sure we already had because we knew a list of people were about to get got. You can't run for that long. I'm just shocked we're finally seeing the day. So thank you so much for listening. We got to go and tie up some things, and then we'll be back. Didn't I tell you? Music is a diary. Are you now figuring that out? If you're listening, it's one thing when you hear it and you feel it. When you feel it, you can actually hear it. When you hear it, you can actually feel it. Do you understand that their music is their diary? All these rappers, they're telling you what they did. The music, it's telling you what they did. The comedy and the art is a reflection of life. I got a reflection of life for you.
Those parties involve children. The media is making it sound like
they don't just involve children. They involve animals. The adults who are swearing up and down, I left at 1:00 in the morning.
You shouldn't have been there in the first place.
You shouldn't have been there. And on top of that, if you knew that there were children coming in after a certain hour, why the hell didn't you say anything until right now?
Coward.
All these people, I knew he was crazy. So you guilty. I told you everybody guilty. You're guilty. Get that shit straight. I don't care who it is that's saying, I left at 1:00 in the morning. Because why? Because why? You covered your ass.
Denzel, you a damn liar. Lecrae, you a damn liar. You people that are listening, that are angry right now at the things that have gone on to the children, you guys need to rise up, and you need to start demanding that all these depositions and information gathering, that needs to be made public. They need to stop hiding that behind closed doors.
Demand the media. Demand from the media. Because why are we doing another Epstein? Why are we doing another Epstein? You know damn well Diddy didn't kill himself. Let's just do that now. We know that. Okay, everybody's clear? Yeah, we know Diddy didn't kill himself.
You need to hold everybody's feet to the fire, and this stuff needs to be transparent. It needs to be seen. There needs to be nothing going on behind closed doors. It needs to be made public.
It's been enough of closed doors. It's been enough. It's been enough since I was even a thought of. It's been enough since I was 3 months old. It's been enough before me. It's been enough after me. It's been enough of the bullshit lies in the closed doors. It's been a fucking enough. Child Protective Services, you next. Where are they getting these supplies of kids? Ask them. I'm sick of covering for everybody. Kill me. I dare you. You tried all my life, and I'm still sitting here. That right there proves who my God is. So you can continue, because at least I know where I'm going. And when I get there, I can talk to my friends. Really can. I got a bone to pick with Jesus, but I got to talk to him. It's fine. It's fine. And yes, my pinky's broken. For those who keep circulating this picture of this girl with a broken pinky, yeah, my pinky's broken. It was broken at 12 years old when I tried to fight back, and that didn't work. So there's a lot of parts of my body that pops and locks and shit because a lot of people started tying me up, and I'm really small. If you've ever met me, I'm really, really small. So people used to use me a lot for baby jobs. So people used to use me a lot for party favors. That party favor that I was on the table, I wore wigs too. So if you want to turn those videos around, I have a wig on for some of those. But yeah, my pinky's broken, and so is my toe pinky. There's a reason for that.
If you're a truther, you need to look up party favor effect as it relates to Diddy's freak offs.
This is not just one problem. This is decades worth of an issue. You know that, right? Decades. He's one of millions. The party's just been going for forever, and everybody just got there. There ain't no money there's no price that anybody could put on that to say unconditionally, I believed you since the beginning. Thank you. Because that shit has been my whole entire life. That's all. I don't need any money. I want to go to school. I really want to go to school. It's not even about graduating. It's about the fact that it's the principle of the thing. I can say I did it because all my life I've been illiterate and I've just been a sex slave and I can do all that. No, I could go to school. I could be a grown-ass woman, and I am a woman of my word. I'm a choreographer, and I love kids even though I can't have kids. So if you have met me in this time, I thank you for spending the time that you have with me. Because now that you see all this stuff on Twitter, and now that you see all this stuff on social media, you've met the real me. You've spent time with the real me. You know that I would do anything to keep a child safe. You know that I would do anything to have some peace. So if you have met me in this time under the name of justice, you now have gotten to know me. So whatever you see on social media, thank you for making that decision to say, I've seen this and I've seen this. And now you can use your brain to see the truth.
Can we stay just a little bit longer?
Don't worry, we'll be back. I can't believe they're leaving.
Hopefully we're not going to stop. Hopefully it's not going to be a slap on the wrist and then he kills himself and then he sit in the jail cell and everybody goes back to putting their head in the sand. Hopefully people understand that this is not about an election because the election is canceled because everybody is on the list. Let me tell you something. They make sure in those parties that they have blackmail evidence. So if they go down, they taking everybody down with them. I pray to God that this is the day. I pray to God that this is the time because all the victims deserve some type of justice, and it's just a matter of taking accountability and somebody saying, we are fucking sorry that we didn't hear you guys forever ago. There are people who are dead. There are babies who have lost their lives because nobody was listening.
Do y'all remember when we asked you guys to write letters to the news stations, your local news, known news stations, known truth tellers? There's a lot of new people, but the people who have been here, do some of y'all remember that? If you were here for that, wrote letters to everyone. Some people were blocked. Some people didn't get a response. Some people weren't getting the response that they were looking for. God is 777. You remember that? I posted some in my story the other night from around that time, but we wrote everybody. Yes, I remember. Yes, cool. So it wasn't about me. There was some, because I had an interview with, I think that was RSBN Memorial Day, and some people were like,
So I paused it real quick because I just wanted to make this statement real quick. If y'all really remember this Naziah Harris case as well, that was an operation that the aunties and Jarvis and all of them, like literally, that was a human trafficking operation that they had going on with them kids and the kids that was in that house. This had been going on for years. Like people be, they probably wasn't a real big operation, but they had their own operation going. Like they had been trafficking these kids for quite some time. From the time that they were small, they literally was like bringing these kids up to be abusive to one another. They have been doing this for quite some time, and this is just even more confirmation as far as what Ali Carter story. And she also has I have a couple of more videos as far as her stating um about her past with her biological mom, and how basically how she ended up getting within that industry. Like it's literally an industry by itself. It's literally a human trafficking industry. So you will be surprised of the people that's actually involved, how it's literally right up in our faces, and people just turn a blind eye about it. So I know for the next couple of few lives or whatever that I'll do, it will be based off of human trafficking. We're gonna bring some light to all of this.
We're like, hey, let's try to write Mike from RSBN so they could get his attention again. There was no response. People tried writing Newsmax. People tried writing so many different journalists to get their attention for the children in their neighborhood. The entire point of this video is the children. The focus should be the children. When something comes out and people start mudslinging and backbiting, it should be, but what about the children? When I see all these big platforms coming towards us, we're not taking interviews right now. We've even gotten interviews for primetime TV, and I've decided we just gonna wait a second. Because I see a lot of people trying to trap survivors. I see people running and trying to jump on survivors just for the Diddy issue. That's not the only issue. We had someone come at me and asking, didn't even ask about our safety, didn't even ask for a proof of identification. They just wanted to fly us out to Texas and put us on a TV set. No, thank you. Why? Because that TV set was linked to Oprah. No, thank you.
Family proof your family with Place Alerts by Life 360.
Hey there, you're listening to State of Survival Radio. Calling all survivors who can hear this, please come to our shelter.
Are stopping for a second because we're like, hold on. I've put out a lot of evidence. There are some people who are like, name names, I've done that. Post the evidence, I've done that.
Yeah, and I also have a video after this. We're gonna if you all are still here, but I'm still going to play it afterwards. But as far as since the 1980s, and it probably was in the 70s as well, but the video that I'm gonna play after this is based off I believe the 80s, probably the late 70s, early 80s, going into the 90s, as far as how this whole operation has just been going for so many years as well, and probably get a little bit more behind the scenes information about the stuff. Well, we're gonna get into it, y'all.
Post receipts, I've done that. I'm actually about to repost some receipts that have already been posted, and I'm sure a lot of you are going to be like, she posted that? Yeah, forever ago. And the man that you're going to see that is naked has a lot of ties to the police, the news media, real estate agents, a lot of high authority, even though he sits on the bottom to middle of the food chain. So we're not talking about the elite again, but the man that slipped, and that I have a picture of him with a lot of his personal information hanging out. There's nothing I can do with that. People are, hey, uncover it. Uncover it for what? Because the second we said his name a few years ago, we got hail. And a lot of people are like, well, just put that out there for what? For people to reshare things like they did Cassie? For people to reshare it and just say, well, I believe it, I don't believe it, I'm feeling a certain way. There's only so much that me and my mom can do. There's only so much, as y'all can see. But there's a lot that other people can do that sit in really high places. There's a lot of people that are.
And when she said her mom, that she's not speaking on her biological mom, y'all. She's speaking on the woman that actually took care of her, I believe from age 18, I believe. But she was definitely in her teenage years when when this woman started taking care of her. So she's not talking about her biological mom. She has a video as far as like speaking on her biological mom, which actually caused her to get into the industry of human trafficking. If her biological mother really played a serious part with that. So that was a pretty sad story as far as the history on her.
Truth telling. They won't even post evidence. We've posted receipts beyond receipts. We've been pressed for information and we've put it out there. Not only that have we been vulnerable, it doesn't take much to see real PTSD, right? So we've been very, very, very vulnerable. We've put out so much information. You guys have seen things happen in real time. We put out the evidence and it holds weight. There's been some people, I'm gonna sue you. Okay. Okay. Right. We put out a lot of information. I'm gonna recirculate some information a little bit, but before we do, I just want to give y'all a heads up. Seeing the next arrest? There's number 3. It's coming. And we're in the way. Big time. MK Ultra is not a joke. You guys are understanding the heaviness and the weight and the reality of sex trafficking. You're not understanding yet, and I pray that you do, that sex trafficking ties hand in hand with MK Ultra and satanic ritual abuse. Some of you guys have seen Satan in your face and still can't understand and fathom that he's in the mix of this. You have people pretending to be Satan. You have people creating sets to be Satan and with your celebrities and stuff. But everyday people, what some people are not understanding is basic programming. There's basic programming in the military. There's basic programming coming from narcissists. If you've ever had a narcissist in your life, you know that there's some things that you will not be able to push or budge with that narcissist because they could get their way, right? No matter what you do, no matter what you say, it will always be your fault. They will never take responsibility. They will never take accountability. Their ego is too big to ever admit their wrongs. They take that shit to the grave. Okay. Survivors, real ones, I'm talking to you. These next few weeks, they gunning for the nation. These next few weeks, there is an auction for a lot of survivors that are speaking out. If you are speaking out, this is the time. Do not stop. Go full force. This is the time. If you have connections and you see connections for people who are bigger than what you see from these survivors that are coming out, the real victims, we don't have that much pull. But there's people who sit in places that used to be in the music industry Do you see any of their evidence? There's people who sit in this place that are generals, that are attorneys, that are big names, and it's possible for them to make a move and to push something forward, but they won't do it unless it has some type of benefit for them. You know who I'm talking about. And if you don't, pay attention. What is their job? How long have they been on the internet? Are they pointing you back towards the children, or are they just talking shit and trying to make money? What exactly are they doing for this fight besides doing something in a selfish way? Ask. Pay close attention. That's how you'll know who's really in this fight. We have been bare in so many ways. There's only so much we can do. But this is the hill that we die on, and we will take our dying breath in this fight. We don't care. We really don't give a damn. We do not care. Now, some people are like, hey, the man that you're about to post and uncover his face, can't do that. I've already told you his name several times. And every time I said his name, we had hell to deal with, because he has who in his back pocket? The police, the media, your news. I had to make videos with this man in Simi Valley, California, several times. This man is now 55 years old. I'll be 30. I am 30. I'll be 31 in February. Okay, so you do the math. When this happened, I was 15. So this is 15 years ago. Now the question is, you guys see all this stuff with the cases and everything. When is anybody going to continuously talk about the children? Now we've uncovered that a 13-year-old was on this case, a 9-year-old was on this case, and now you've seen that even couples were watching. How many times have I told y'all that some people in orders like that, they will let somebody do something and then they will watch it. And if they didn't touch you, then they can say, I didn't do anything because I just watched it. So therefore, I didn't do anything. You are just as guilty. There are people in orders, like in the Playboy, in tunnels, in many other situations, they've tied dildos and put dildos on the ends of broomsticks and raped people with them because they didn't physically enter someone with their own dick or with their own anything, with their hands or whatever. They can say, I didn't do anything because I raped them with the stick. Nobody's talking about the stick.
Oh no.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Wow. Get ready to. So therefore, I didn't do anything. It wasn't me. That's how people are getting away with this shit. Why isn't anybody demanding the names of the celebrities? Why aren't the attorneys? Why are you protecting people who didn't dare protect the child? So now all of a sudden we give a damn about protecting them? It's not just the celebrities. My CPS reports go back to when I was 3 months old. My surrogate was selling tapes out of the closet, and law enforcement knew, and it is documented in paperwork. Didn't think I'd had that, did you? Yeah, I got it. Ask me how many kids she had. Ask me how many times police was called. Ask me how many times Child Protective Services was called. Ask me how many times a report was made and said, hey, there is screaming coming from that way. Hey, there is somebody who had a tape or something and they hid it. Law enforcement was in her back pocket as well. It's in the documents. But see, there's a way.
Y'all, this is when I listened to this and I've listened to her story and her experiences, this is what had me like completely engaged, with where she was what she was talking about. Because as I think about these cases, and I'm steady wondering, like, why is all of this steady happening to these kids? Why these people is not going to jail? Why these babies not getting any justice? Like, it only makes sense that the people that's above us, the judges, the police, and the doctors and people like that, they are the cause. Like, this is a whole operation. Why is these people not going to jail? Like, if you think about it, how in the world was Jarvis Butts was, they called the police, they called CPS on him several different times. He is a pedophile. You know what I mean? It's documented. Why this man never really did any time? Like, it's crazy. It's because he still had a whole operation behind him. They don't look at it as like it's the wrong thing, because a lot of them are already involved up in this type of, this stuff that's going on. So it makes sense to me where she's going with everything as far as with her story. If y'all really just think about the cases that we have talked about and the things that's been going on.
That works with Child Protective Services. One thing is they will not take kids who need to be taken. The other side of that is if they have a case, because family court is built off of money. The only way family court can continue to go through is if there is a problem in the family. That's the only reason why they would need court. So sometimes if there's issues and they know that there's issues in the home, they will not take that kid out because that's a paycheck later for them. So CPS was called numerous times and they tried to do well, she has an immaculate house. Oh, well, we can't put our finger on it. Why? Because she covers it up and she has a lot of people to cover it up. That was in her back pocket. I'm still here. Where was anybody when I was missing? Is anybody going to ask that? Why would a woman that was put in the criminally insane hospital have children? And then when Child Protective Services was called and when the police were called, nothing happened. And you wonder why the children were running.
Amazing means the tooth fairy made it to the house last night. Amazing got Gabriella to the...
Think about it. There is a lot of shit going on. And we not just fighting for one thing, we fighting for the nation. There is an auction going on, survivors, for codes. And Ultra is like somebody having a remote to your brain. So I'm telling you right now, there is a big ass auction going through Halloween until after election. They are planning to flip people's codes to the point that they go silent. They are planning to flip a switch so that survivors start backing up. Because if you're scared of a female, or if you're scared of a male, or if you're scared of a certain thing, then you're going to shut up. No, not for me. So I pray not for you. I'm talking to you. Take that and do what you will, but please keep going. I'm not trying to jump on the bandwagon with anybody. I'm not endorsing anything. I'm not trying to team up with anybody because, see, a lot of people, and you're going to see right now when we say, hey, we're going to back up, we're going to throw it in 6 because it's not good for us right now, then they want to start talking shit, mudslinging and backbiting because we don't want to do an interview with them. You're going to see that a lot right now. And the main thing is we don't want to talk to them. There's a reason. You're going to see it. We're not going to put their names out there. We're not going to tell you why. You'll see. You always do. And then y'all be like, oh, yeah, you'll see. There's a reason why we throw it in 6. There's a reason why we're not taking any interviews right now. If we do take a mic from somebody, it's going to be because we really looked into it for a second. We may be wrong, but we really looked into it for a second.
Yeah, Allie's been set up so many times. She's been burned so many times. We've had issues so many times. A lot of y'all have it in your head that Hollywood is corrupt and evil and they're involved in trafficking. But I think for a lot of people, when you see your TV news people or your talk show hosts, you kind of separate those. You think that they're different. You think the news that you watch on TV is different than the corrupt Hollywood and the music industry that's getting dragged right now for sex trafficking. No, they are all the same. They all fall under the banner of
All the same.
sex trafficking and corruption. Your every news channel, if you is anything you watch on TV, I can guarantee you is going to be corrupt to some level.
Every news channel has a script. Y'all know that, right? Put them side by side. You'll see. A lot of the news channels have a script, and they're told what they can and cannot talk about. Do y'all remember a few years ago when a lot of those news reporters are coming out and saying, like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. They're silencing me. We're not allowed to report on certain things, and they had to step down from the channel in order to talk. The news channels are all scripted.
Yep.
There's a lot going on.
That's why I stopped watching it.
There's a third arrest coming. And there's, I don't know who is sitting on some arrests right now. I really wish they would just hurry up and let it go, because a lot of us are sitting here like, let's do this shit.
If we also have no intention of having an attorney, we have no intention to sue anybody. We don't want any corrupt, dirty money that came from. But say, for instance, we did get an attorney. What do you think the first thing they'd tell Allie to do? Wouldn't they tell her to be quiet and don't talk anymore, get offline, don't say another thing?
Yep.
That's their job, to do that. So essentially, they would be silencing her. We're not doing that. It's not worth any amount of money.
I don't want anybody's blood money. The only money that I would take from was Child Protective Services. You can hand me and cut me that check. I'll take it, because I took care of myself while they collected money for me, while they knew about my pain, while they helped it, while they enabled it, and while they let it happen. I will take that check gladly. Everybody else is blood money.
The same goes for witness protection. If you needed to be in witness protection, if you were going to tell on somebody and you felt like you needed to be in witness protection, how do you get into witness protection? Who do you call? FBI? The FBI is corrupt as shit. How many people would have to be involved? If you go and sign up and say, you know what, put me in witness protection and I'll tell on so-and-so. How many people do you think you're going to be involved with to get you a safe place to go, your name change, whatever it is that we think that they do? Do you know how many people you'd have to be involved with? You're going to hit corruption at some level. Witness protection is not really a thing or an option. The more people you start bringing into the circle, when you telling on big names and stuff like this, the more problem you have. I guarantee it. So survivors, please be careful what you do. Be careful who you trust.
And some of you are probably watching this video like, okay, what the hell do I do? We don't know.
We don't know.
We are trying everything.
Don't worry, we'll be back. I can't believe they're leaving. Like, who would?
Did you not see that?
We're doing the best we can every single day.
The
That's all
very
we
best
got.
that we can, while drowning in PTSD, skin crawling, shaking out of nightmares and night terrors, getting up and not even realizing where we are anymore because the triggers and smells and everything is way too much. Pulling out of that, trying to go forward, then getting knocked down again. Trust me, we are trying everything. All right. So when you're like, what do I don't know. I do not have the answer. Okay, I am struggling myself. For those of you who are like, well, let's just team this survivor up with this survivor. If they are struggling to tell you the truth, what do you think is going to, how do you think we're going to help each other? There's somebody who was like, they're speaking, so if they speak to Allie, then everything's going to, no, that's entertainment purposes.
That makes a bigger problem.
That's entertainment.
For both people.
If you really think about it, that's entertainment for you. It does not help the survivors. That does not help me, and it does not help them. It intermingles the demons that we both have, that we both are fighting. Okay, just because we're speaking on the same topic of crimes against humanity, don't mean we have the same story.
We're the same enemies.
Okay, so those who are like, let's just team that one up with that one, and oh my gosh, everything's gonna turn out fine. No, it's not. No, it is not. That's TV mentality. Those survivors that are teaming up to do TV shows on a platform, what is that doing? Because are they directing you back to the children? Did they give you evidence to go off of? Are they giving you something that you actually honestly can hold and holds weight to the truth? No, they just giving you entertainment. That's what that is. A lot of people want us to team up with somebody else for entertainment. Because if you actually understood what we're talking about, that's not going to help. If both of us are living in our car, what do you think is going to happen when both of us team up? All of us going to be living in our car. Two wrongs don't make a right. This is about the children.
Things really don't look the way you think they do. Like 20 years ago, I was saying all the same things everybody says. Go to witness protection, get an attorney and sue, team up with other survivors.
Call the police.
Call the police. Because those are all the things that I believed in the world that I was living in at that time. When I got Allie, my whole world changed. Things don't work like that. That is not a reality at all. I don't know where we got all that information of we'll just go into witness protection and everything will be fine until it doesn't work like that.
When have you ever heard anybody come out of witness protection and say that they were protected? Do you know of anybody that the government has protected? Is the government protecting you at the moment?
Why don't you ask North Carolina how protected they are?
Come on now. Witness protection is a government-based agency.
And who is trafficking your children? The government.
This is a web. This is a very thick web. Tangled because a lot of people just put their head down.
What you're going to find, though, when they keep bringing out these arrests, they overlap each other. They layer together. They connect in a way that there's no mistaking. It's not a coincidence. Everything, when you pull one string and arrest one person, you're going to get like 10 other ones that are connected and then 10 other ones connected to that. I don't even know how to explain it to you, but they all overlap and connect together. There'll be no mistaking who's involved because they all connect together.
You know what helps them though? Remember I told you one time, I'm a teacher. I was an after-school tutor as well. It takes 2 to 3 weeks for a fight in middle school or high school to calm down. It takes 2 to 3 weeks for them to stop hyping up the person who won. It takes 2 to 3 weeks for people to stop bullying who lost. It's the same gist for the internet.
That has to be very uncomfortable. Like you could tell at this part right here, because I really missed it when I looked at this video the first time. You could tell right here that something caught her attention, which possibly, you got to pay attention because they have to be safe about the things that they actually are spilling out here. When they going live, when they talking about this stuff, they have to be safe. So it's like she had to get on guard really, really quick. Whatever she seen or whatever, it caught her attention. They really wasn't trying to say too much. You could tell as far as, the way her reaction is and how she looked at the other person that's in the car with her. So yeah, that just caught my eye real quick. It kind of freaked me out a little bit because I'm like, hold on, I didn't pay attention to this part. But yeah, it was something that she seen that caught her eye, and man, she got to be safe. She has to be safe.
It's the same just for the internet. So, focus on the children, please. Nobody takes you back to the children. It's easy to get distracted in what people are talking about. It's easy to get distracted in what people are fighting about, but we don't go back to the children.
No, anybody that understands the problem, it's not about adults being trafficked. It's about the children. Anybody that's not speaking on the children 24/7, they're not grasping what the real issue is. And yes, there were thousands and thousands of children at these parties.
But there were also thousands of celebrities. There was also thousands of buyers. There was an equal amount of buyers for an equal amount of children. So Diddy is not the only one.
And the next thing, once you've grasped that the children, and we need to be focused on the children, if somebody's not telling you about Intra and what that looks like and how that runs, and how they are still auctioning codes for children, they don't understand the big problem. People got to be talking about the K Ultra. That's the worst, most evil thing you can do to another human.
We
Hands
gotta
down.
go. But by the way, there's some people who are saying they know me.
Family proof your family with Life 360.
Here's why you should definitely publish your book. I believe this quote by Toni Morrison sums it up best.
There were some Johns who were popping up on TikTok saying they know me. There's a lot of people. Where's their proof? Don't press me for proof. Where is their proof? If you are a dancer, a dance mom, a dance dad, and you're seeing my stuff now, speak your mind, do what you want to do. However, jumping in this fight can cause a lot of hell for your family. So I'm gonna tell you right now, as Miss Allie, as Miss Justice, please back up for a second, because this is not the time. This is not the time. Please be safe. Please be smart. And kiddos, if you're watching my stuff, be careful. All of my videos are not family friendly. And it takes one hell of a woman to go through the hardships and the commitment to be someone's mother. To say that I am here through the tough, the hard, the ugly, the battered, the bruised, and the broken, not just for the good part and the pretty part. I'm here for it all. I'm here through with losing sleep. I'm here with worry. I'm here with overwhelming fears of what could possibly happen. That's a mother. That's a mom. A mother is somebody who can just give life and say, yeah, I did it. Pop them out like guppies. But when are they going to take care of them? Moms are females that have stepped in because other women refuse to be one. That's my mom. And if you don't understand that, I could be a whole different person, yet I'm sitting here talking to you. I have my sanity, trying.
I'm trying to keep it. I have my religion, and it's getting shaky sometimes. I'm trying not to lose my spot in heaven, okay? But in order for me to be sitting here talking to you and speaking on my spot in heaven, it's because of her. All right? Like, it's God. But second of all, it's because of her. Second to God, it's this woman. So for those of you who don't understand that, you probably had a messed up relationship with the person that you're supposed to call mom too, but she was a mother. I'm sorry. Don't get mad at mine because you didn't have yours. That's all I got to say about that. My surrogate was a evil piece of shit. That woman is so evil, there's no denying it. You can see it. You could see it in the paperwork. You could see it in the actions. You could see it in how hard I fought as a child, but still was silenced. If you understood the hell I went through, real people see real people, so thank you for that. I'm going to release something, and it has a CPS document, a kit. I've had there's files, stacks of CPS documents, and somebody burned a building down, thought that they were just gonna get rid of it because they didn't want my truth to come out. Too late. Too late. There are stacks and copies all over the United States of America and out of it. Too late. Okay. Police reports, SART kits. I've had so many kits, I've lost count. I was abused so many times, I lost count. I really did lose count. At one point, I thought, like, hey, I mean, just maybe I'll have that story one day. Okay, it happened like 5 times. It happened like 7 times. It happened like 10 times. After so many, I lost count. Some things in the CPS reports. And one of the Johns that I have had too many orders with. I say that I'm broken, but I know that I'm not broken beyond repair. I know that I'm loved more than I can imagine. I have a family now, thanks to y'all. So many 90s angels that have been my mom's biggest support team, and family that we never thought we would have. That family has the insurance drops that I'm going to drop unredacted. I don't care. I really don't care, but I'm being smart about some things because my case was not a case that just had me on it. There were other minors on the case. So there's some things that are redacted. Now, I've kept things redacted because if I unredact them, there's going to be an issue, and some people don't deserve that attention. However, they do deserve some questions to be asked and answered. How the hell did this happen? Where were you? What were you doing when your child was missing? Did you know that your child was being trafficked? How many times did CPS get called? Why were they getting called? Is the hospital for criminally insane something that, if you've been there, should you really have kids?
Wisconsin Dells. You got to get here. Plan your trip at wisdells.com.
Are you looking for your next natural booty lifting shorts? Oh, girl, let me put you onto something.
Was I missing from Child Protective Services custody for a year straight? Where the hell was everybody? And then if I'm 30 now, where was everybody before? So many questions, right? But none are answered. However, I know there's no justice for me. Whole point of this video, say it with me, is the children. Every time people get distracted, put them back towards the who? The children. When we are talking about cases beyond cases, elite and parties, assaults and the things that are going on in the news, we are not talking about just adults. We are talking about children. Quiet on the Set. That documentary that they did. They did that documentary, but you notice they stayed away from certain words like They stayed away from certain words like ultra. They stayed away from certain words to make sure that they walked y'all up to that door, but they didn't knock on it. They walked you guys up to the door, but they didn't tell you the God honest truth. They made sure that you were cushioned enough to say, oh, maybe they're not complicit. Bullshit. They are. You should be demanding answers from all the celebrities that are quiet. Answers your question of who's involved with the Diddy client list. It answers your question of who is involved with the Ghislaine Maxwell list. It answers your question of who's on those flight logs. It answers your question of who's been on those islands. Where did those children come from? People still are not asking. Where did those children come from? People are still not checking Child Protective Services custody. Did you get an Amber Alert for them? No. Did anybody question that neighbor of Diddy's? He said there were buses coming at 3 a.m. Did anybody ask what kind of buses? Who was driving the bus? Where did that bus go? How many kids was on that bus? Why didn't anybody say anything? If you went to a Diddy party, why the hell are you protecting the predators that weren't protecting a child? How many times does it need to be in your face? Do you understand what's going on with children? You want to know who needs reparations? Foster kids. That's who needs some reparations. Foster kids. When you understand how evil the foster system is, the streets should be packed. I'm waiting on the day we wake up and the streets are full. I'll be out there with you. I'll be out there with you.
And that brings me to this, y'all. That brings me to, again, with the Naziah Harris case, how Shannon Harris kids was taken from her. And of course, those kids are going into the foster system. So it's like they already then, 9 out of 10 then been, abused or in any type of way and have been exposed, to this whole pedophile, and going through whatever it is that they was going through. But now they're in this system, which they actually could go through even more worse situations. It's just sad all around the board.
I'm not inciting any violence, but I will be out there with you. We, not we will be out there with you. Some people are going to get so upset with the next drop. Some people are going to be a little stunned with the next arrest. It's coming. Again, there will be no accidental fires, no car accidents, no accidental car accidents. We are not carrying anything in this car that cannot be accounted for. We are not carrying any weapons. We are not homicidal. We know that God has got to do what he needs to do. The vengeance is not ours, it's the Lord's. I'm not a celebrity. My pain is not a billboard. And who wants to be the face of trafficking? We're not talking about, I'm not an influencer. It's not influence you to do makeup. Okay? This is the truth. Nobody should have to influence you to be influenced. You shouldn't need an influencer to be influenced, to get up off your ass and do what is right, because it could be somebody that you love. That's it, and that's all. We fighting in a different way. There's mounds of evidence, and I don't trust people right now because I've already tried. We've been there. We've been screaming for I don't know how long, since we were a baby, and then 4 or 5 years ago we started screaming on here. Okay, I don't know what's going to happen. I do know that this is the hill that we die on. There are some people who are really upset by us saying what we are about to say. There are some people that are really upset that if this arrest goes through with the females I'm thinking it's supposed to go through with, some people really love Ellen and Oprah and Whoopi herself. Somebody is threatening that they're going to drop me where I stand on Halloween night because you're conjuring spells and doing rituals so big that it's helping the spirits. You know those, when they say they release the spirits over the city and the spirits are roaming and they're joking about Halloween. That is not a joke. That is not a joke at all. They are conjuring the hell out of demons. Some people are into witchcraft. I know there's some people that are into witchcraft on here. We talked about this. We don't do that. We don't play with that stuff. But we appreciate that you're sitting here and you're doing something for the children. You're trying to listen for the children.
Step into a world where the fun never ends and the possibilities are endless. Welcome to Lucky Strike.
But we don't need your problems enough, as you can see. But that shit is not a joke. It's not a joke at all. When you understand how spirits work, it's not a joke. CERN works, it's not a joke. So the amount of rituals and things that they are conjuring in your face, you already know that, because when you go to the bookstore, you see satanic books. When you go to church, you understand, because what do you think you go to church for? If you go to church, what do you think you go to church for? What do you think those stories in your Bible are for? Do you think that they didn't exist before? Do you think that they don't exist now? That is your war manual to exactly what is happening right now. What you are fighting and praying against in your Bible is what you are fighting and praying against right now. We do not battle against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, rulers, and spirits of this earth. I may have said that wrong. Don't follow me. Sometimes you don't follow me that way. You might go on a very narrow road close to heat. Like I don't. I'm still working on me. Okay, but Ephesians 6:12 is one of my favorite verses. If I can spout it off right. However, we do not battle against flesh and blood. All right, this is a war against good versus evil, and if you can feel that, this is a war for our nation right now. No matter what side you are on, it's a war for our nation. It's a war for our children. It hasn't stopped. You're just now understanding and welcoming to the party of what's going on. This is not new either. Okay, so we've gotten so many threats. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna drop you. Do it.
Go ahead. Try it.
Do it.
I don't think it's gonna work the way you think it's gonna work.
Do it. My programming's broken. I know some of you don't get that, but my programming's broken. And whatever is not broken, it's on its way. It's on its way. So yeah, there's some things that you can still knock me on my ass with, but you trust and believe you bet not let me get back up, okay? Okay. We gotta go, and we thank you for listening. A lot's about to come out. Another arrest is coming again. People should be like, what the? We're talking about kids? Huh? What? No. Somebody better answer something. How many more kids do you need? How many more need to be swept under the rug? How many more need to be silenced for you to say, oh, enough? I pray for that day for so many predators. I pray for that day where you feel an inch of what you've done to your victims. They don't sleep. Every smell sometimes triggers them. PTSD is off the chain on days that you feel like you are having the best. Every time you think that everything is cool, something floods back, memories kick you in the face, and there is not a damn thing you can do to stop it. It's not just the top, it's everywhere in between, and unfortunately, it's in our own backyard and in our own family. Sometimes it's the worst because it be your own people. We've been speaking for a very long time. It's about, for the internet, 4 years. For our life, since 3 months. We have been screaming from the rooftops. For my mom, I met her when I was 14. She adopted me at 19. I was not able to live a peaceful life with my mom. I was adopted as an adult. This twin over here. A lot of people are getting people confused. Now, my bio mother is a piece of the devil. That woman, I would probably wear white to her funeral. Here, listen, this is my this is my real mother, right here. Yeah, she a white woman, and we're twins. Okay, we look just alike so much that you wouldn't even know she was my mom. Like, you know what? I can see it. There's a whole resemblance when you walk in the room. All right. Now, here's the thing. My surrogate was a piece of evil shit. I really would wear white to her funeral. That is not a woman that you would call a mother. I don't even know what you would call that. But her, with the passion, some people, you got to forgive. No, wait a minute. That's a whole other conversation for another day. But that woman is so evil. And I mean so evil. Not just for me. I was one of 6 kids of hers. You see, of hers. Of the borrowed fortune, of the paid off fortune, of the you take this child and hold on to this one and I'll pay you for that one. But she used to tell me all the time, I don't get enough money for you, for me. Out of the 6 girls, she got so much money. She got government assistance. She played the government.
We found love in Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use.
Said some of them had disabilities that they didn't have. She was on all kind of money. She was stealing social security cards, all kind of shit, right? And for me personally, I wouldn't go along with when she would take me to these government buildings to play or to do whatever she was doing. I wouldn't play along with it. I don't know why. I just wouldn't do it. So therefore, she got money for me by letting her boyfriends and shit abuse me, and not to mention all the other shit that goes on in that bloodline. But my bloodline helps you match some shit together. So stay with me because I'm about to jump. Here we go. All right. So my bloodline answers some questions, but it doesn't matter to me. You want to know why it doesn't matter to me? Because this is the only woman that has ever gave a shit as far as where I'm sitting today. Before that, no one cared. No one in the entire family cared. The family's huge. They did not care unless there was something in it for them. Okay? So I was raped a lot in my own closet by the chief of police. I was abused a lot in my own bed. I would move my little sisters over because there were sisters that I had that were smaller than me. And she was dating everybody. She slept with everything that walked. Okay? She had men in her life like buses. But all of them were a piece of my authority, from my doctors to my principals.
She's speaking on her biological mom now, y'all.
Principals to everything. Okay, so I was abused a lot in a different way. Everybody was going through something in that house, but I was abused in a different way. Okay, everybody blamed it on me because by the time I turned 13, I started to realize something's wrong. I talked to friends. I talked to people at school. This shit is not normal. This is not how you're supposed to get in trouble. I know it's a different culture, but this ain't it, right? So, but by that time though, I didn't know. I really thought everything was normal. So I was hypersexual. I was promiscuous. I had a lot of problems. I still do. I got a lot of issues. Okay. And I am not going to be that denial or liar to sit here and say that I do not. Okay. I am not healed. Not at all. I'm working on it. All right. But I ain't Jesus. Okay. Not perfect. So now she's telling me all the time, I don't get enough money for you, which is why supposedly she did what she did and why she let people do what she did. Supposedly she was always in the bathtub when I was getting raped by her boyfriends. But then when I was little, she would lay me over her leg and check me. And I don't know what she was checking for, but she would let her boyfriends do whatever they wanted to me. And then she would come and check me like that was supposed to do something. Okay. So when I say that my life has been this way for a very, very long time, my last order, sexual order, that was called, that I was on, was 18. I was still going through shit. There was things still happening. I didn't just give me up at 19. You can see right now that people don't just leave you alone at 30. Thank you, Jesus. Do you see that the Diddy case is already getting covered up? There's already corruption. There's already attorneys wondering why the victims are not getting their information out. There's already attorneys running why shit is getting covered up. Look it up. Go ahead and look it up. Already there's cover-ups happening. I told you that. Because everybody's like, call the feds. You can get on the case. You think we dumb? I know a lot of you don't know what that means. And again, the first thing to do is let's call the police and let's get you on the case. That's not going to do anything. If anything, the case was already, you can see it. We can. If we throw it in 6 from something and we don't say shit to y'all, it means we see something and we're waiting for everybody else to see it. Okay? We already seen that coming a long time ago. That case is about to get shut down. Everything is about to go under the rug. The same way Ghislaine Maxwell's case went under the rug. The same way nobody's talking about Ghislaine's case anymore, like it didn't even happen. The same way we're not even talking about the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was the John. Ghislaine Maxwell was the supplier. Who else do you think that she sold kids to? You remember how I told you Johns, traffickers, pimps, all different. Okay? Epstein was the one who said, I want a 6-year-old. I want a 9-year-old. I want a 12-year-old. Ghislaine is the one who said, I know where to find that 6-year-old, 9-year-old, and 12-year-old. I will sell them to you. Epstein had parties where he invited multiple people to come and take part in who he brought. Who else did she sell kids to? You see how that just got covered up? Shut down, quiet, nothing, nothing, done. What happened to her victims on that case? There were multiple victims that threw into that case. What do you think happened to them? Do you think they got silenced? Do you think they're okay? Do you think they're safe? Do you think their information is safe? Do you think their information was heard? Because did you hear it? No. Because are we still talking about it? No. What do you think happens when everybody jumps on one thing? If one situation falls, so does the whole thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. For those who are like, team up with this person, team up with that person, just because survivors are trying to tell you the same thing, sometimes it does not mean that they stand stronger together. When do you see us endorse anybody? Do you? When do you see us stand with other survivors that much? Do you? Especially if they have a platform. Do you? No. This whole time that we've been on, we've been very careful who we say, hey, we may have had an interview with this person, but we're not telling y'all to follow them. We're not telling you to listen and hang on to every word that they say. Pay attention, though. We did an interview with them. There it is. But that's up to you to pay attention because we don't know them.
Ever since I was a G, I've been legit. It don't matter what they say, I'm timeless.
We don't know what all they're capable of, so we don't know what's going on there. If we already see that they mudslinging names, if we already see that they only speak about the children when it's convenient, if we already see that they get dragged beyond dragged, and then the next thing they do is turn around and start drama, and I'm gonna sue you, we back up. Want to know why? Because if you're gonna sue somebody, you would have did it. The amount of I'm gonna sue you when people don't get their way is ridiculous on social media. Boo-hoo. Do you know how many times people call us out of our names? Do you know how many times somebody tries to kill us? Do you know how many ways people have told us and tried to get rid of us? Do you think we give a shit about you calling us out of our name or saying something a little sideways to us to the point we're gonna sue? No, ain't nobody got time for that. The court's a theater. We all know that. The court is fake. And if you go to the wrong person, if things get hit with the corrupt hands, if something hits a corrupt judge, then everybody's situation is going under the court, and they will make it look like the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus did it. First of all, okay, as far as grouping with other people. If they're lying, or if there's something that goes down,
or if somebody planted them or sent them to be in the middle of the group, it's going to take the whole group down and discredit everybody. And that is the quickest, easiest, cheapest way to silence.
It muddies the waters. It makes people exhausted. It makes people feel like, damn, I thought we were onto something. I thought they were telling the truth. I thought we were good. And then the next thing you know, it was a lie.
And so the next time if somebody comes to tell you the truth, you're not going to hear it. Yeah. Last time they were lying, so I'm not messing with it.
Last time I was so invested, and then they teamed up with this person, and it went straight to shit.
And I tell you, speaking the truth is such a heavy load of who you can trust, of how careful you have to be. It's a heavy load, and it's a lot. Neither one of us mind because it's for the children. But knowing that if we take a wrong misstep, if we trust the wrong person, if we go in the wrong direction, we could lose all that. That's a lot.
And another thing is some of these survivors that are holding on to other people's evidence. Shame on you. You know what? Let's talk about Dead Man Switch. Isaac Cappy, do you know who that is? He's supposedly dead. Now, there's multiple people who hold this man's Dead Man Switch, which is insurance for us. That means our insurance holders. For those of you who don't know what insurance holders are, those are the people around the world that we have dropped our evidence to because we felt like we could give it to an attorney that is on social media. Found out that was a celebrity attorney, so that's a whole other conversation for another day. Okay, we didn't know who to give it to. We still don't. We have nobody to give it to. There's evidence that we have that there's nobody to give it to. So if we die right now, we walk away from these cameras and we take our last breath, insurance holders all over the world will just start dropping it.
To you guys.
To y'all.
Because there is nobody else.
Yeah, you guys, like I said, the first responders to this war is you. So if something happened to us, they're going to start dropping it and handing it out like candy. And they won't stop. Ever. But there's some information that'll get us killed because there's other minors in the situation, right? So if we died, what's the point of sitting on our Dead Man Switch? Isaac Cappy, supposedly he's dead. For the first time, I'm going to say, allegedly, he's dead. Okay? And somebody has his Dead Man Switch. If this man is dead, then what are you holding it for? Is he really dead? Or are you trying to make money and gain off of what's going on? Because he has a Dead Man Switch. So why didn't anybody let that go? The people, survivors that are running around, and I have evidence of other people, and they only use it when they're in trouble to blackmail her to say, I got a 15-year-old's evidence. I got 3 victims that I got the evidence. I got this evidence. I got that. Why are you holding it? Why are you holding someone else's pain for your gain and then only bringing it up when you're in a problem? Huh? What sense does that make? What sense does that make? We listen to a lot of people. We don't say anything. We just listen. And then we like, we're back. We're back. We're back. We good. We'll stay away from that. We'll stay away from that. There's some things that people say that we're like, we'll stay away. So the people that are like, can we give you a mic? Can you come on? We said we would take a mic, but as of right now, I'm like, ooh, never mind. Because our voice is getting out there. I thank you for that. We have worked really hard to keep our integrity, to keep the honesty, to keep the guys, the children. I don't know how many times, right? We have, it's a lot. It's a lot while we're getting dogpiled on for every situation to keep that integrity. Okay? But we see a lot of people that are not. So what do? Throw it in 6.
I don't like shorts that have hooks because you can see them under my dress. Thankfully, I finally found shorts that enhance.
Okay, y'all. Yeah, that's a lot of information to take in. So it's like, man, I was in a whole daze, y'all, watching that video. And it's just like, it's like two and two just kept coming together. It's a whole lot of stuff. Even the stories that we had talked about or have been talking about on here is like everything she was saying. It was like I was put the pieces to the puzzle together, and I'm like, okay, a lot of this stuff is making sense. Even when it got to do with all these different cases, like just like I was talking about with the Naziah Harris case, like in the operation that was going on within that case, it's like everything is coming together. Even with the Kanika Jenkins case, everything is coming together. Her mother was paid off millions. I think it was like $10 million. I mean, to be quiet, to hush. Like it was a lot going on. It's a lady that I actually follow on YouTube as well. She channeled Kanika Jenkins. It was recently. She channeled her. And it's always been like some type of talk about saying that she was her organs was harvested, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So, a lot of her organs was missing. So I know a lot of people don't actually look at, and support the channeling and mediums and stuff like that. But to a certain I have to be able to make it make sense for myself. So a lot of things did not make sense when it came down to the Kanika Jenkins case. It was a lot of things that was hidden in her case. When I was in her sector, it was just too much going on. It was a lot of covering up going on. So once you start hearing all of these other different stories and people, start talking about their experiences and stuff like that within that particular industry, it starts to make sense. You could put two and two together and the pieces start coming together. But yeah, I got one more video that I'm gonna play, and then after that, then I'm gonna end this live, and we're gonna continue on with this journey. If not tomorrow, it'll be the following day. So let me go ahead and pull my screen up. I hope y'all enjoyed that video, and I hope y'all learned something from it. Thank you everyone for coming in, stopping by, hitting the like button. I really appreciate y'all. I'm about to get ready and share my screen again. We got to get these watch hours up, y'all. We got to get these hours up. I know I've been on some little lazy stuff lately, but that's okay because I got to get my money. You feel me? You feel what I'm saying? I got to get my money, honey. Well, here we go.
An inmate at San Diego Central Jail. This call is being recorded. You may start the conversation now.
Hello? Hello? I don't love nobody but you. I just really want to get out of jail, like now. Now. Can you do me a favor?
What?
Can you bail me out? Because I don't want to be here.
I know, I'm trying.
James Gary, well, when I met him, was 19 years old. He ended up making some calls from jail, which are all recorded. All jail calls are recorded. And he was calling several young women that he knew, girlfriends of his. He was 19 years old, and these girls were 15 and 16.
Taxes was waiting and wondering.
James was trying to convince these young women to get money together for him to be able to post bail.
Let's make a message. How do you do that?
You go on, Craigslist, the back page, and you take some cute little pictures. Hey, you deleted all those young pictures though? Like, wanted to make you look.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. All right, baby.
I'll send the pictures on Facebook.
My baby at Starbucks handling business. You feel me? I'm sending you somewhere where the well ain't dry, man. So speak it with that mouthpiece. And don't put my motherfucking lips on nobody.
Why do I do that?
Unless if that's what you gotta get me out.
Has there ever been a time where you made a decision in a relationship that, you didn't think you would ever do, but you did it because you cared about that person or you loved that person?
Love you.
I love you too.
Or you made a decision out of a space of fear.
When I get back, we're gonna have some dates. If not, I'm taking the phone.
You chose to make this decision because you were worried about what might happen to you or what might happen to other people, but you compromised your values in some way, shape, or form because you were motivated by the fear of your own personal safety or others.
I had to slap her.
I call it psychological kidnap.
There is no one thing that isolates you or insulates you from experiencing trafficking. Anyone can experience human trafficking.
For more than a year, we've been investigating the complicated issue of the sex trafficking of children in San Diego. We've reviewed hundreds of records, talked with survivors.
My exploitation started at 12.
17. Yeah, she was 17 years old. I'm not going to quit. I'm not giving up on my daughter.
We've heard from traffickers.
I heard that you make an email and then you go on, Craigslist, the back page, and you take some cute little pictures.
We're taking you into a dark underworld that operates in broad daylight.
Here was a 74-year-old man who was having sex with minors, who had success in the corporate America. He got a get out of jail free card.
There is no such thing as child prostitution. What you are buying is child rape.
It is a battle and a half, but there is hope.
And showing you how we all can be part of the solution. This is Stolen.
In a sex trafficking investigation into
sex trafficking, face of human trafficking.
You've seen it in the news.
Oh my God, they got Amanda.
In movies.
they're going to take you.
But what's happening here, what we're talking about, doesn't look like this.
Think about your daughter or your sister or somebody or your brother. This is happening to both girls and boys. You don't have to be physically held. You don't have to be physically constrained. It is all a mental manipulation. It's a mental brainwashing that takes place. This is one of the most horrific injustice we have in our communities right now. My exploitation started at 12, so it started really, really young. The grooming process where the trafficker begins to gain the trust of the victim started before that. So it took about 4 or 5 years. It's not a stranger danger kind of situation. It's usually somebody that is close to the youth and that has direct access to them.
Why don't we start telling our kids the truth about that 80% of the harms that are going to come to them are not going to be from a stranger who pulls them off on the streets. It's going to be from someone trying to befriend them, or someone who is posing as a friend, or a family or a coach or a teacher that comes in and tries to exploit them.
Why do you think we have such a problem here?
It is unfortunately a very easy crime to perpetrate. It involves human deception, human exploitation, and it can take on any form. Drugs are the first criminal industry everywhere in the world and right here in San Diego. Second is the selling and buying of human beings for purpose of profit. That's human trafficking.
When they hear human trafficking, they think of, someone coming over in a shipping container in the middle of the night, or a young girl kidnapped off of the streets. Here in San Diego, it's our neighbors trafficking our neighbors. It's our middle schoolers trafficking our middle schoolers.
It's not out there
away from us across the border. It's our own girls and our own boys from our own neighborhoods.
We do have the border to our south, and that's not where we see a large majority of our victims coming from. The large majority are citizens. They live here in San Diego. They're the ones that are being bought. They're the ones being sold. They're the ones being recruited.
People don't have an awareness of what the issue looks like because it kind of hides in plain sight.
Human trafficking is the commercial exploitation or selling of a person for sex or labor, and often by force, fraud, or coercion. By California law, anyone under 18 who has sex for money is considered a victim of sex trafficking.
There is no such thing as child prostitution. What you are buying is child rape.
The target rich victim is a teenager. And that's why the average age in San Diego County when somebody is first lured into sex trafficking is 16.
How old was she when she met this man?
17. Yeah, she was 17 years old. The guy was like 9 years older than her. She is the type of person that would just, always just care about others, and, to the point where like it's almost like hurts herself.
This single dad never thought he'd be part of this story. He asked us to disguise his identity because he fears for his family's safety. He says the trouble started at his daughter's first job in high school.
She got a job at a local hamburger joint. What I didn't know is that when she was working there was going to be a predator there who was actually out there to boyfriend these young women. And unfortunately, my daughter got caught up in that. It's not something that happens where it's some dramatic, I'm going to just snatch the kid and take him away kind of a thing. No, it happens slowly over time. I would say a year and a half had gone by, because at this point she ended up leaving the house. Well, my ex-wife basically said, hey, I found pictures of, your daughter on, this sex site, and she was telling, she told me basically what she discovered. I was just closed off, just thinking on how I could rescue my daughter.
Now, 2 years later, his daughter is an adult, and she's still in a relationship with her alleged trafficker.
You are basically in a riptide. I'm over here, I see you in a riptide. The only thing that I'm thinking is, how am I going to get my daughter out of this riptide? Am I going to get a jet ski, a boat? Am I going to just paddle on my surfboard and get you? I don't know. And you're just you don't know what to do. You're stuck. You're scared. You don't know what to do. She's getting taken out to the ocean.
I call it psychological kidnap. That is what they use. That's the simplest way to think about it. They're not kidnapping the person, the body. They're kidnapping their mind, so the person believes that they're going along voluntarily when they're really not. They never had a chance.
Psychological kidnap, held hostage in your own mind, trapped, but unaware you've been tricked.
Our brain isn't fully formed or developed until we're 25 years old. So let's say a 30-year-old perpetrator who is manipulating a 16-year-old, it's a completely unfair playing field because she doesn't even have the same cognitive structures that he has. She doesn't have the ability to read and understand the situation appropriately because her brain is not functioning properly yet.
So it begins with love and attention and saying, oh, you deserve so much more. I'm always here for you. And after the trust is built, then things shift.
One of the favorite lines is, just this one time. But once that first time happens, they've been transformed. They feel lesser. They feel cheap. They feel like a product to be sold.
This is like a cult. It's kind of the same mindset where they are brainwashing you to think that there's no way out. I did not feel I could get out. He had told me that there was people that didn't care about me. There was nobody that I could trust. I didn't know there was a way out.
We often refer to it as trauma bonding. Some people refer to it as Stockholm syndrome, which is kind of the old version of that idea.
It's the trauma bonding that takes place between a victim and the perpetrator, where there is this love and at the same time hate. And you are confused. You don't want this pain to continue. And yet this person is telling you that they love you.
It's a stolen identity. It's a stolen agency.
one of those crowns I have here fell. I put some like kind of a cement.
Hello?
Hello? I think God loves you, James. I think God loves you.
God loves me? Yeah, I know he does. I just be fucking up sometimes. God gotta love me. He kept you with me through thick and thin.
One of the things that's really common with trauma bonds is that the victimizer will create a space where the victim and the victimizer move through kind of these three different roles: the victim, the victimizer, and the rescuer. So both of them move through all three of those roles kind of over and over and over again.
I care about everything you say, about how you feel about everything and all that.
And as they move through those three roles, it puts the victim in positions where maybe she feels like she has a little bit more power because she's the victimizer or she's the rescuer.
Baby, we can go anywhere. I don't even care. Like, I'll leave the country with you.
He's sad. He's feeling depressed. He called me because he was suicidal.
Yeah, you probably look tougher than me.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
No. Don't cry. Get me up.
He needs me. There's a uniqueness in this relationship that no one else has this connection with him like I do.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm gonna bail you out today because Ron, he's supposed to be giving me the money.
Rarely do you see a situation that's the dichotomy is so clear, where a young African male goes down and ends up spending 10 plus years in prison, and the wealthy white male gets immunity and gets to walk off scot-free. It's disturbing.
In 2016, 19-year-old James Gary was convicted of sex trafficking minors. The primary evidence?
Hello, this is a free call from
Janet.
an inmate at San Diego Central Jail.
Hours of phone calls made from jail to two teenage girls.
This call is being recorded.
The girls believe James Gary was their boyfriend. Prosecutors say he manipulated them into prostituting themselves online for bail money. Gary also said he knew a wealthy man who paid young girls for sex.
I was asking you what was Ron's name on Facebook again.
Oh, Ron, and his last name is P-O-S-N-E-R. He's CEO or something. I don't know.
He was me, he chicken. He got that much money to chicken on fire at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he got it. So, you feel me? I'm sending you somewhere where the well ain't dry. So, you know, just be good with that mouthpiece.
Gary gave the 15-year-old detailed instructions on how to get Ron Posner's attention on Facebook.
He accepted my friend request. He said hi. What am I supposed to say?
So, ask him a question about his work or something. Be like, hey, hey, what do you do? Or, hey, stranger, you work for blah, blah, blah. What do y'all do? Keep it real professional. Don't sound young. Trust me, you like girls that look like you.
Yeah, he's old. Dude, he's really old.
Yeah, he's really, really old. Really, 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 really old.
At the same time, the other girl James Gary was talking with from jail was having sex with Ron Posner for money, and James Gary wanted out of jail.
Can you bail me out?
I know, I'm trying.
When's the last time you talked to Ron?
Earlier.
What are you talking about?
He was trying to get my phone. She told me he was going to tell me when he got off.
Tell him to hold off on the phone. You need some emergency money.
10 days after Gary was locked up, the 15-year-old said the plan with Ron Posner worked.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm going to bail you out today because, Ron, he's supposed to be giving me the money.
Ron Posner is a successful tech entrepreneur and CEO. He admitted in court he had sex with both teens.
He's 74. He's well educated. He's wealthy. But the district attorney decided, he was more worth protecting than my client.
On June 10th, 2016, Ron Posner was given immunity by former San Diego County District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis's office to testify against James Gary. No criminal charges. As we looked into this case more closely, we discovered a hole in our legal system when it comes to prosecuting people who pay children for sex.
Ron Posner got off scot-free and got to go home to his beautiful Balboa Park condo and gets to see the planes fly in And my client gets 10 plus years in prison. He's sitting in a prison cell right now. And that bothers me.
CarParts.com always delivers, and they carry quality parts. Now that's my speed.
Ron speaking.
Can I record this on the record portion of our talk?
Yes, you can.
When we started this investigation into the sex trafficking of minors in San Diego, we wanted to find the stories behind the arrests. So our executive producer went to the courthouse to read the case files.
I went to every courthouse and I looked through stacks of cases filed for trafficking, pimping, and pandering charges in the last 5 years. And that's when I came across the case against James Gary.
And what caught our attention were these recorded jailhouse phone calls. It was a chance to hear a convicted trafficker manipulating young girls into selling themselves online.
But the tapes were under seal, meaning that we'd have to get a judge's approval to listen to them and share them with the public. So we filed a request, and after weeks of waiting, we got word that our request was approved. We had the tapes.
Hey, I'm about to make a birthday. How do you do that?
Well, I'm on a jail phone, but I heard that you make an email and then you go on, Craigslist, the back page, and you take some cute little pictures. You leave a number at the bottom, and then people hit you up for massages or, whatever people are into. So I've heard.
James Gary was in jail on an assault charge when he began coaching the girls on how to make money.
Hey, what would you put as age?
Age? 19?
I thought so too.
My homegirl used to make a lot of money off the fetishes.
I don't even know what that is. What'd you say?
As we listened to these conversations, there were reminders of just how young these girls were. But in addition to that, there was something else that took us by surprise.
I was asking you what was Ron's name on Facebook again.
Oh, Ron, and his last name is Posner.
Posner?
Yeah.
James Gary knew of this wealthy older man, and from what we heard in the calls, it appeared he had a reputation for paying young girls for sex.
But he's for young ass girls, so he already know how to go down. That's why he's asking, because he knows he can't come over to wherever you at. He asking because he want to know if you're gonna come over to his condo or if you're gonna get you a room.
A room?
Yeah, a room. He'll get you a room somewhere. If you don't got no girls at the house, he'll take you there to show, show off.
We wanted to know, who is Ron Posner? We emailed him, and he agreed to talk with us.
I'm Ron speaking.
Can I record this on the record portion of our talk?
Yes, you can.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? What have your background as far as, you've had a hand in some pretty successful companies.
Yeah, I moved to San Diego about 7-8 years ago.
2 decades earlier, Ron Posner took the top job to run a company that made software you've probably heard of, Norton Antivirus.
Norton Antivirus removes that.
I was CEO of Norton Computing, which is an antivirus software company in Los Angeles, and sold that to Symantec. That was one of the things I did, but that was, 1990, so, a long time ago.
And what exactly is your, expertise?
Business management. And mostly technology-related companies, although I have gotten involved with this company in China, which is a prepaid credit card company, not technology company.
In 2016, can you kind of just tell me, when was the first time you interacted with?
She approached me initially, I think, probably on Facebook, and eventually she came over to see me.
And when you say get together, you mean like going out on a date?
Yeah, we, I think, went for coffee or something down in my building. Wanted to get together about once every other week or once a month. I forget exactly how often, but, on a semi-regular basis, she wanted to get together. And again, I knew nothing about this guy in the background. That came out later.
Right. And did you have sex?
A little bit eventually.
I was about to cry today. If I couldn't get you out, I was about to cry.
Don't cry, just focus.
I don't care. I just want you to be here. I'm tired of laying down with you on.
I don't know. Thank you. Thank you.
Posner paid the 15-year-old girl $500, and she used it to bail James Gary out of jail. Weeks later, prosecutors started listening to these recorded jailhouse phone calls and began a sex trafficking investigation into James Gary. On April 4th, 2016, prosecutors knocked on Ron Posner's door.
Come and sit down.
What you're listening to is a recording of investigators for the district attorney interviewing Posner for the first time.
Let me start out by saying that by no means are you under arrest or are you compelled, to talk to us or anything like that.
I'm happy to talk to you if I can help.
The individual that I'm investigating during my investigation of this individual, I have come across your name from his lips. From what I understand, these women you have hired per se to be companions of yours?
Not really, but go on.
And this is most of the questions that I ask you, I already know the answers to. Okay, because I've done a lot of research on this case and I understand a lot of what's going on.
Okay.
It's not a secret that you enjoy the company of young Black females, and so that's the reason why I'm here.
Okay.
So if you could be a little bit more honest with me in regards to your relationships with these two gals, that would help out my investigation a great deal.
Okay, what would you like to know?
And what has been your relationship with?
I've gone out with the movies a couple of times.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And have you had sex with her?
Yes.
Okay.
Once.
Okay. And was there an exchange of payment for spending time with her?
No.
Okay. Have you given her cash or presents or anything of that sort at any time?
Gave her $50 once when she said she had to pay rent.
Okay. And that's the extent of the money. I'm thinking that you probably have given her more money than $50.
Well, not much more. It was maybe 100, but yeah, not a lot.
Okay. And what about, you never had sex with her, or have you had sex with her?
Once.
Okay. How much money did you give her at that time?
I think 300.
Investigators traced James Gary's $500 bail money back to Ron Posner.
So I think what's happening here is that you're kind of a lucrative fish per se for them to use in that regard.
Right.
It could probably be a mutual thing between, the both of you, meaning that obviously you get their company and they get your cash per se.
Right.
So that's where we're at with that one.
2 weeks after this interview, James Gary was arrested and charged with sex trafficking both girls.
James Gary I was appointed his attorney. It's clear to me that Posner's role in this is much bigger. His role is he is one of these predators who goes around and targets young women. He's 74 years old, dating underage women. And the district attorney interviews him, try to get information about my client, and ends up calling him as a witness at both the preliminary examination and at trial, and gives him an immunity letter. It's clear to me that Posner's role in this is much bigger. His role is he is one of these predators who goes around and targets young women. He's 74 years old, dating underage women. And the district attorney interviews him, try to get information about my client, and ends up calling him as a witness at both the preliminary examination and at trial, and gives him an immunity letter.
That's right. In 2016, Ron Posner received an immunity offer from the San Diego County District Attorney's Office. No criminal charges in exchange for Posner's testimony against James Gary. At the preliminary hearing, Posner admitted to having sex with both teenagers. By the end of the trial, James Gary was convicted of sex trafficking minors. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. From jail, he told us he accepts responsibility for his actions.
My birth name is James Gary. I'm currently incarcerated. I'm in prison as we speak. I made mistakes, poor choices. I had bad judgment. People gonna call me what they want. You know, I'm not in my heart, I don't feel like I'm a trafficker. You know, people might feel differently. I wish I could go and change what I did, hop in a time machine and fix everything that I've done. I can't. You know, all I can do is recognize my mistakes, recognize what I've done wrong, and be a better man, correct those mistakes, and move forward from there. I don't want to see my young brothers and sisters going through the same thing. You know, it's not a mistake that is over that day. You know, you carry this weight with you for the rest of your life.
Former District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis and current DA Summer Stephan declined to speak on camera about this case. But here's the thing. The DA says the way the law stands right now, you can't charge a sex buyer with a felony unless you can prove the person knew the child was underage before having sex. Without proof, the consequences are minimal, often less than a traffic ticket. And in Posner's case...
Do you know how old these gals are?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. How old are they?
Did you ever ask?
Yeah, they said they were 18 and 19.
Okay.
How old are they?
How old did...
She was 18 and the other one said 19.
Okay. Well, they're both 15.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't realize they were that young.
If a crime is thought to be a misdemeanor by prosecutors, the DA's office says an immunity deal like the one given to Posner wouldn't have required the DA's approval. They say in the Gary case, the prosecutor's direct supervisor signed off on the deal. In a previous interview with Summer Stephan, she says when it comes to sex buyers, there's a hole in our legal system.
Our laws have become stronger when it comes to traffickers. There's real accountability, but unfortunately, the accountability, the punishment for buyers is almost non-existent.
In 2017, Stephan and Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez tried to increase penalties in California for sex buyers.
We tried to pass a law to make it at least a minimum 2 days in jail, like we have with DUIs. That failed. We're sending a message that this is really a no big deal.
That's all the hoes he been doing over time. He done bought him either apartment or a car. That's why they're not around.
So how did James Gary know that Ron Posner was into young girls? The 16-year-old girl on the jailhouse calls said she was having sex for money with Posner months before she met James Gary. And in an interview the girl gave James Gary's defense team before trial, she said, Ron Posner has a lot of girls that he sees, mostly young African-American girls between 15 and 26 years old. Actually, if you're into prostitution, you know or quickly know who Ron Posner is. She said she tried to tell DA investigators about this, but they never returned her calls. After months of questions, the DA's office told us Ron Posner's immunity deal doesn't protect him from future prosecution, just that the evidence in the Gary case can't be used against him. We searched court databases and found no criminal charges filed against Posner for sex with minors. We did find a bench warrant for his arrest tied to allegations of tax evasion. We also found a lawsuit filed against Posner by one of the girls in the Gary case. In it, she alleges rape, battery, and emotional distress. In her lawsuit, the teen says her relationship with 74-year-old Posner lasted until July 2017, months after James Gary was convicted of trafficking. Ron Posner says he's the victim in all of this.
Even if if you thought that she was 19, you're still much older than her. And I mean, some would still see that as a problem. How do you respond to that? How do you feel about that?
Well, what's there to explain? I mean, I don't know what you're asking exactly.
Well, I think that some would still see that as predatory behavior.
Well, I mean, frankly, it was the other way around. She was able to tell from the phone calls and from Gary and her actions, but you don't know that yourself so much, that she I was really, as I said, the victim. She was really coming after me. I wasn't going after her, per se. I mean, she would frequently show up. You know, sometimes I didn't even invite her over. She knocked on the door.
What would you say if Ronald Posner sees himself as a victim, that he was manipulated by young women for money? What would your response to that be?
Be that silly, because he knows exactly what he was doing.
Meet Asana, a work management platform that helps companies get more done and save more time. Teams can stay connected while they track updates and visualize timelines. Asana, a smarter way to work. Try it for free today at asana.com.
How many years were you in that life?
From 20 to, I officially got out fully at 27. So about 6.5 years on and off.
Jamie Johnson is showing us parts of town that house memories that are difficult to relive. She's a sex trafficking survivor, now advocate.
Do you think there were a lot of minors out here?
Yeah, just a ton of minors.
Do you want to go down to National City?
I've come down here to do outreach. I have at least 7 that I'm working with at the moment that I have all been exploited.
I'm curious, they talk about...
Should we just go to the...
She's not even, she cannot be 18.
Hello, look to your right.
Yeah, that's hard. You think she looks young?
She's super young.
Do you think she's working this area?
I mean, for sure. There's like 3-4 girls down there.
They look like they're in high school.
Yeah,
well, here's a police patrol car.
And he's not going to stop, I'm sure.
Would there be a reason for him to stop?
I mean, besides the fact that they look about 12 and that they're clear, like just the fact that he's not trained to even recognize, to stop and just have a conversation with them is ridiculous.
Hey, there's 3 of them now, and they came up to my window.
I was sitting in this car about 50 feet behind our undercover vans. It was straight in front of me, where Monica and the team were sitting. We were watching things going on Roosevelt Avenue in National City when suddenly these 2 girls walked up to my car, came right up to the car.
So that's crazy to me.
I'm not interested. And I was amazed how young they were. I mean, they were very, very young.
This area of National City, California is known for prostitution. National City Police made more than half of all its arrests for prostitution in this 6-block area around Roosevelt Avenue since 2017. The department told us they do train their officers to spot suspected cases of sex trafficking. They have a full-time detective on the San Diego County Human Trafficking Task Force. The girls we saw looked young, but they were gone before we could speak with them.
One of the red flags at schools is to notice patterns of attendance.
This is an issue nearly every school district in San Diego County is dealing with.
All right, good morning, everybody.
Charisma de los Reyes knows it.
My name is Charisma de los Reyes, and I am a policy analyst with Child Welfare Services, as well as the CSEC program coordinator for the county.
CSEC stands for Commercial Sexual Exploitation of Children.
We're already embedded in 400 school sites.
Charisma's team does everything from identifying cases to connecting survivors with support services.
We're trying to provide choices and options for them and empower them to choose where do they want to take their journey next.
Marsha Harrison has helped dozens of kids while working on the CSEC response team. She knows personally the trauma some of these kids are dealing with. We met her on a tour of the CSEC offices. What she told us took us by surprise.
I am a survivor of child sexual assault. I'm a survivor of adult sexual assault. And in between there, when I was in my 20s, my friend and I were exploited. for me, this was life. It was normalized from childhood. I don't know what happened. Teachers are mandated reporters. I look back in hindsight and absolutely there were red flags. And that just cycled into adulthood. And I'm getting through it. And I'm not saying it's easy. There's days where it is a battle and a half. It is a battle and a half. But there is hope. And I don't know if it's like the proverbial tunnel with the light at the end of it. I never had that. For me, it was always this bridge, like a rickety bridge, and there was darkness and fog in it. But then I started telling myself, well, obviously the bridge hasn't fallen. It's attached to something at the end. I gotta just get across the bridge. And I'm here. I'm here now.
Exploitation happens where the money is. When I see people type Comic-Con or whatever, I see it coming to town, I'm automatically thinking about that time of how it was. That was when our quotas went up. That was when it was busier. That's when we knew we were going to be up for a couple of days just working.
1, 2, 3. All right.
Big events bring a lot of tourism, and it can generate a larger demand for commercial sex in our city, in our county.
The demand, the people buying sex is what drives this criminal enterprise. If no one cared about buying sex, there would be no need for a facilitator of sex. There would be no need of a victim. And so we really need to focus on the demand.
You know, the sex buyers are blatant, they're bold in what it is that they're asking for and what they're wanting to do.
I think he's close to trying to meet up.
So we're headed to the Claremont area, and from what the Human Trafficking Task Force undercover officers tell us, the suspect doesn't know the exact meetup location just yet, which is pretty typical in their response. So in their communication over text messaging, they're communicating with this suspect saying, meet us in the general area of Claremont, and then they're going to dial in a specific location. So stand by.
So we're waiting for him to go out, and going to go up there and hang out in the bathroom and just be able to communicate what you see.
Okay, so at this point, we are at the park, which is the designated meeting location, and there are officers with the Human Trafficking Task Force stationed in various locations around the park to make this potential arrest, including someone to meet up with the suspect who is inside the restroom here at this park in Claremont. And it's kind of a nervous feeling, wondering when this person is going to pull up and what's going to happen.
All right, RS1 just confirmed he is on the way.
I'm back with swimsuit number 1. No bra. And it's lifting great. I haven't even adjusted the strap.
S1 at any point during this, can you pump in a call and see what's up?
So about an hour later, and the sex buyer was a no-show here in Claremont. So we're pulling the plug on this operation.
How busy is this task force?
We are swamped every day. We could do these operations on a daily basis, and we would get cases and arrests on a daily basis from this.
Law enforcement is also recognizing that girls aren't the only victims of sex trafficking. This was the first time the task force targeted sex buyers shopping for underage boys.
It's hard enough to detect victims of human trafficking that are girls, but boys and men, it's an even higher level of shame and silence.
Boys are being preyed upon, and yeah, no one's looking. This all started when I was about 16, and 17 is when it went haywire.
This is Kyler Doherty's first time speaking on camera about the abuse and exploitation that nearly killed him.
He was my boss, like he was my friend. Eventually I was drugged, and eventually I was raped, and he filmed it. If I did anything, he was gonna send this DVD to all my family. And eventually I became a shell of a person, and I dropped out of school. I lost everything. And during that time, I was sold to hundreds, if not thousands of men, and across many, many states. And I wasn't the only one. I know of there was at least 30 in my ring of boys that were being sold. I would say, honestly, 95% of everyone who hired me were straight, married with children. It was always weird to me. It was like, these were the men who had the most to lose. They were lawyers, they were doctors. And a lot of people say, like, why didn't you run? Why didn't you speak out? And a lot of it was fear. Is like everything I did, there was like a gun to my mom's head. When I was working with undercover detectives, I was going out into our gay community and speaking and interviewing so many gay men. And one of the questions I was asking them was, when you were a teenager, were you ever preyed upon? Or were you ever propositioned for money? And every single one said yes. I speak at middle schools, high schools, all across San Diego, and I speak nationally.
But you do it for a reason.
Yeah, I do it because it's saving lives. It took me about 8 years to even accept what happened to me, and then it took another 2 years of going to psychiatric help to like really identify what really happened to me and saying I was a victim of sex trafficking.
So we're in the car with one of the officers, one of the undercover officers with the Human Trafficking Task Force, and we're headed to a location where someone has agreed to buy someone for sex. We don't know all of the details yet.
All I know is that an individual has agreed to do a sex act for money, and he will be expecting to show up at a location here soon.
So we're here in the hotel parking lot. It is 10:20 on a Friday, and we are just waiting for the suspect to make contact with the undercover officer and then meet up here in this parking lot. So you're saying this is the busiest month you've ever had?
Let's say in the past 2 weeks, we have recovered a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, and 17-year-old.
Do you have enough officers?
Absolutely not. We're at about 7 or 8 detectives now, when we could easily double or triple that number and have a full caseload. All right, just got an update. Apparently he's out of the ATM and he's 4 minutes away. Hey, let me get a little closer and I'll park, and then we can have the takedown team roll in. All right, we got eyes on. Let me, when he says he's here, we'll have the takedown team go make contact. On you.
Oh, I'm gonna help you out.
He's in cuffs. I'm gonna let him out. And they're out.
Have you ever done this before?
What, paying? No.
Okay. This is the first time engaging in a pay for sex situation.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not for sex.
A sex act, I guess we could say.
Yeah,
a sex act. Have you considered the people who are out there selling themselves for sex and the fact that there's a good chance that maybe they are doing that because they're being trafficked?
I never really thought of that. Like, I never really thought of it that way.
Do you have any guilt about that? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I guess, like now that it's like a slap in my face, so I don't know. I guess it's my unlucky day today. I never really agreed before doing this. I'm always iffy about paying, and you're right.
So you have paid before?
No. I've never paid before. So I've never really agreed,
You think people just don't understand this is going on?
People have no idea it's happening in their backyards and everywhere around them.
And in the end, this would-be sex buyer walks away. That's the law. He'll get a citation and have to appear in court for a misdemeanor charge, which will likely result in a fine.
It is less than a traffic ticket in many cases. It's a $200 fine. You don't really spend any time in jail. We're sending a message that this is really no big deal.
It's hard for me to rest and sleep well and focus when I don't know where my daughter is. Sometimes I'm driving and I see like homeless people or people walking. I'm like, is that my daughter?
We first met this father 2 years ago. He says his teenage daughter is caught in the life of sex trafficking. We're hiding his identity for his family's safety.
And I only just pray that she's not being held against her will, or like she's okay, that she's being fed.
He says his daughter met her alleged trafficker at her first job. She was 17. He was 26. 3 months later, she quit her job, started distancing herself from her family, and eventually left home.
I actually called the guy. I'm like, you and I have to meet. Like, you know, I want to meet you. Let's go grab some coffee. And he's like, no, we're not. I don't need to have coffee with you.
Then he says he found pictures of his daughter advertised for sex online. That was 2 years ago. Now they rarely talk.
The internet, social media, Snapchats, you know, those types of things are the norm for how our youth communicate, how they share of themselves, which, right, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's only when it starts to fall into the wrong hands.
Be aware of what your kids are doing. Your child does not have to leave their room to be exploited.
Whether it's like on social media, from Instagram to, you know, Snapchat to whatever is going on out there. And it's like, who's actually protecting our children?
During our investigation, a critical development. News this father had been waiting years to hear. His daughter's alleged trafficker was arrested.
The court is going to remand the defendant.
No hiding anything, right? No filters.
Oh my gosh.
San Diego's Human Trafficking Task Force says every minute there are new posts of sex for sale online, and some of those people for sale are children.
There's no hesitation on what's going on here.
It's clear they're selling sex.
Absolutely clear. In every title, it almost says exactly what they want to do.
After stay-at-home orders were issued during the pandemic, reports of internet crimes against children increased dramatically across the nation and here in San Diego.
We certainly at the task force see a lot of cases where the victims have met their traffickers online, and kids don't realize who they're speaking to on the other end of the computer. They have no idea. You know, they think that they're, you know, speaking to maybe another 17-year-old boy or something like that. That's how these traffickers portray themselves.
Sometimes in the grooming process, there'll be exchanges of sext messages. Hey girl, I think you are so beautiful. You're so sexy. Can you videotape yourself maybe doing this, that, or the other? And because she is interested in this person, and, you know, she thinks, okay, maybe, you know, this is what we do. This is how we flirt nowadays, if you will. Those sext messages, those videos then become blackmail. The federal agents call it sextortion. If you don't do this for me, I am going to put this out to everybody on the internet. And once it's out, it's out.
We looked at court records for every San Diego County trafficking prosecution in the last 5 years and found case after case that started with online grooming on Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook.
I think the desire for validation is so strong that if they're not getting it from their immediate family and friends, they're seeking it from the general public.
Roger Martin is a former Qualcomm executive and a father. In 2019, he learned traffickers had a new way to find their victims.
It wasn't face-to-face in malls anymore. It wasn't on the street anymore. It was online. And that the biggest recruiting ground online were Facebook and Instagram, particularly Instagram for teens. So I started talking to friends that I'd worked with, and I asked if they would help build something, maybe a prototype that would prove out whether we could actually identify, you know, young girls at risk before a predator did.
His nonprofit, Humans Against Trafficking, developed what they call an Instagram crawler, artificial intelligence programmed to scan Instagram for highly specific predictive information, pictures, hashtags, and comments that might attract a predator. It's like a cyber bloodhound.
By using several examples, we could say, here's a bunch of examples of what we're looking for. Now you've got the scent. Go out and find me more kids who are like this. And of course, it can do it at vast scale, much faster than a person could do. Here's another one that jumps out at me.
Now, why this girl?
Because she's clearly amateur. She's not a professional model. She's taking photos that are trying to highlight her beauty and solicit feedback that she's beautiful. That's what she's looking for. Here she has, a photo that's in her night clothing, right? In her PJs, if you want to call it that, her underwear and her top.
And there's so many of them.
Oh, yes, there's thousands and tens of thousands. Here's this young man is asking her if she has a Venmo. He's basically suggesting to her that if you have a Venmo, I'll send you money in return for photos or for video or something like that. Here's a predatory approach. I'm looking for a baby girl to spoil silly and take around the world on my business. DM if you're interested. And if you can click on this guy, he's a guy who's looking for young girls, right? And
well, she's 17 and he is clearly middle-aged. This is so eye-opening.
We've scraped, we've crawled and looked at and analyzed about 2 million profiles. About 60,000 out of the 2 million look very strongly at risk.
Clearly, the number is so overwhelming that you couldn't reach out to all of them. But tell me a little bit about what kind of approach you're thinking might be the solution to interrupt that and educate them in a meaningful way.
The expectation is that if we identify them before the trafficker can, we might be able to reach them with some educational material that would at least teach them a little bit about how this online recruiting and online grooming works.
Human trafficking is such an epidemic right now, and it's our job to bring awareness.
They'll connect with people identified as being at risk through an outreach campaign they've created called Models Against Trafficking.
I am #a safe model.
Roger and his colleague Doug Hecht have developed an app for parents called Radley. It scans a child's profile for risky photos, comments, or hashtags.
We're not trying to create a monitoring platform to create an on or off decision. We don't want parents to think, that's not a good image, I'm shutting them down. We want to create a conversation platform, and we want to teach parents how to have that conversation with their children.
Especially now, as the online sex industry is surging. A recent study by MIT looked at COVID-19's impact on human trafficking. Researchers found websites that specialize in cam models saw a significant increase in overall new signups, in some cases as much as 75%. The study said participating in sites like these increases the potential likelihood that participants will become targets for grooming, for human trafficking, and other forms of exploitation. Some of the risk factors that make a child more vulnerable to sex trafficking are easy to identify. Foster kids, runaways, and children with trouble at home or a history of sexual abuse. But even a lack of supervision and parents who aren't present can put their children at risk.
Listening to your kids, being aware of who their friends are, going through their phones, don't leave their laptops and stuff in their room, make them use it out in the open. That's the only way you can do this. Your kids will be mad. Oh, well, they'll be at home with you.
The average age a child is lured into sex trafficking in San Diego is 16. You can miss the warning signs and red flags if you don't know what to look for, like kids with 2 cell phones, unexplained cash or new clothes, using multiple dating apps, kids who have hotel key cards, mysterious tattoos, alienation from others, a much older girlfriend or boyfriend.
The guy was like 9 years older than her.
Your Honor, this is an unopposed request for a continuance.
I mean, since we last talked, the alleged trafficker, the boyfriend, was arrested.
We met up with the father again and his friend Dan DeSager, who works with sex trafficking survivors in San Diego.
What was it like to get that news, and how did you get it?
I was so thankful. I was like really happy because it was just a matter of time. You know, you can only do wrong for so long before it catches up to you.
But after all of that, his daughter refused help from sex trafficking survivor services. Soon after his arrest, we found this post on Facebook, advertising a Facebook fundraiser she created for her alleged trafficker's bail money.
Do you want to see the social media? This is like a GoFundMe that she set up for him.
Yeah, that's how like twisted up she is.
Even though the charges name her as the victim, she told us he's been wrongfully accused.
Good morning, Your Honor. Deputy Public Defender Janera Crenshaw on behalf of Mr. present out of custody to my left.
The next day, the alleged trafficker was in court. She was there too. Even though the man is an adult, we are not identifying him to protect the alleged victim. She told us off camera that the suspected trafficker is her boyfriend and that her father is controlling and their relationship is strained.
The hardest thing for me is to love her unconditionally from a distance.
The accused trafficker posted bail and is now awaiting trial. This father is still hopeful his daughter will one day come home.
My advice is to tell your daughters and your sons, for that matter, praise them, acknowledge them, love them, and having those tough conversations, having those uncomfortable conversations.
I don't know what you heard about me.
The number one influencer of young men and young women are the rappers.
Well, look, you can't get a dollar out of me. No Cadillac, no perms, you can't see. That I'm a
They're walking around with headsets in their ear all day. That is a form of brainwashing.
This ain't this, but hoes and tricks.
This ain't but hoes and trick. Like, that's a repeat. That's the chorus. And I'm just repeating this. I'm 11. Why? It was not hard for a person to transition into being a pimp. You've been told a woman was worthless and the cost applied to her your whole life.
If the money wasn't out there, would these women be out there? No. If the money wasn't out there, would be pimps putting women out there? No. So what do? You follow the money.
Since we began this investigation, everyone we talked to, from survivors to advocates, sex buyers, even former traffickers, say you can't have a conversation about sex trafficking without talking about our sexualized society. Is that just an excuse? Or is our culture at least partly to blame?
And I've been doing this for 17 years. I've had kids in juvenile hall say, when I grow up, I want to be a porn star. That's because it's been normalized.
There's like a duality for me. During the day, hey, that's Paul, he's a nice guy. But at night, I'm a predator. I'm a sexual predator. If I'm not acting out on my own, masturbating and watching porn or magazines or whatever, I'm going out, I'm on the hunt. I'm looking for something. That's just the way that it was.
Paul agreed to share his story if we don't show his face. On this night, he's speaking to a group of men at the Prostitution Impact Panel. The class is essentially a traffic school for convicted sex buyers, organized by the San Diego City Attorney's Office. Since 2011, more than 1,100 people have been arrested for solicitation in San Diego County. In many cases, they can take this 3-hour class, pay a fine, and have their record reduced to disturbing the peace. The room is small, the audience diverse. There's a Spanish translator for some of the attendees.
I wasn't interested in having a relationship. I was interested in having sex.
It was awkward and uncomfortable for me being only one of a few women in the room.
What do you feel like people aren't understanding about this issue or don't understand about sex buyers?
I'm going to say it. They're not bad people. They have a compulsion that drives them to do something. And the top of the line is purchasing other people for sex.
They don't have a clue until they come to our class, because most of them think that it's a victimless crime. I'm giving her money because she's running this job and she can go and pay her bills, so it's okay. They don't think about this woman being trafficked by a pimp that won't let her eat or sleep until she has her quota.
Kathy Hardy helped develop this program. She has her own scars from a painful past.
There is some act of desperation that makes us go out and do this, because nobody grows up and says, I want to be a prostitute one day. I was born and raised in Texas. I was in the Marine Corps at one point. I was addicted to drugs because I had a 25-year drug and alcohol addiction. I committed my first act of prostitution because I needed a fix. Pimps would use your drug addiction against you to recruit you. I'm not ashamed anymore of what I've gone through, because I have made it my life's task to help those that have been victimized by the same occurrences in their life.
That includes outreach at jails, juvenile halls, and group homes, trying to help survivors rebuild their lives and raise awareness in her community.
And if I can save one person, one man, one woman, one child, then it's been a great day. It's been a great day.
But Kathy constantly confronts a culture that fuels the market for sex buying.
Today in our society, we've used the word pimp very, very loosely. Pimp my ride. I'm going to pimp your backyard party. And they use that as being a glamorous thing.
The music glamorizes pimps, hoes, money, drugs, and things like that.
We heard a similar message from this man, James Gary. He's serving a 10-year prison sentence for sex trafficking minors.
They make it seem fun. And yeah, look, it looks nice on TV. They don't show the prison bars on TV. They don't show the cells with bunk beds in them. You know, they don't show you when you're hungry and call and collect, hoping somebody picks up because your stomach is touching your ribs. You know, they don't show that part. I'm here to tell you, it's real. This is the other side of that. They glamorize it. They make bad look good. This is what it is. This is what it is.
And the other cultural influence?
So pornography, I think it's a combination of pornography and the internet access in general. Males in particular are seeing pornography for the first time at 10 or 11 years old. And so we already see kiddos who are engaging with sexual material who are not in a space of sexual maturation to really know what they're looking at. It's rewiring things in very strange ways. They don't have the ability to psychologically connect in an intimate way in a sexual encounter because of the way they've trained their brain to respond to sexual stimuli on a TV screen or on a phone, as an example.
From a young age, it actually twisted my concept of relationships, of what sex is.
And now it's available on everybody's digital device.
You are 3 clicks away from an orgasm, no matter what device you pick up.
Trafficking is a symptom. It's like a fever, right? A fever is a sign of an infection, and trafficking is a symptom of a larger cultural and systemic issue that we have as a whole.
Armand King and Paul say their days of pimping and sex buying are over, and now they have a responsibility to be part of the solution.
Do you feel bad about what you did?
100%. I do. I'll spend the rest of my life righting my wrongs or striving to. We as adults got to take the lead. We cannot wait for the kids to just magically come to our level. Go to theirs.
And is that your mission?
That's my
from
mission.
Here on out?
That's my life.
If I do not share this with people who need this, I'm doing a disservice.
If you could let the pain of the past go,
Some artists are also recognizing the need for a pop culture shift. Drew Shirley is the lead guitarist of Switchfoot, a Grammy Award-winning alternative rock band here in San Diego. He says he's launching a movement.
dare you to move, I dare you to move.
There's a famous quote that says, "You can have the laws of a country. Give me the songs and I can change a nation."
Drew is part of a group that calls itself Humans Against Trafficking, and he's calling other artists to action.
We can change society. We can impact culture. We can actually change and create a movement. And I think that artists that grasp that have an incredible power that can be used for good or evil. And I think that I want to be a spokesman for using it for good.
I'm looking for the kids, but I can't see because they're invisible. Critical conditions, what I've heard about is tragic. Man, this globe is backed up because we're stuck in human traffic.
I'm Namas from Oceanside, California, and I'm a hip-hop recording artist.
She's drowning in a sea full of violence. So listen to me as I speak on behalf of the silenced. And I'm gonna fight because it's feeling infinite. Slavery hasn't ended, it's just manifested different.
Namas is a socially conscious rapper who has done outreach work across the country with the Bay Area anti-trafficking group Not for Sale. trying to educate the public on the scale of the problem.
If I could just make it up out of this
I wanted to tell a story that was going to be something that people could relate to here, to help people move from this idea of human trafficking is just an issue that's happening in Laos or Cambodia or Thailand or whatever, and think like, no, this happens here. This could happen to somebody that you know. Like, this could be your daughter.
Get past it, I could be anything, I could be free, I could be anyone, I could be me, I could be viewed as a person and not as a service, yo, I could be seen. If I could just make it up out of this traffic, I could just forget it, I'm getting up out of this traffic, I'm gonna run.
The more people start to dig into this issue, the deeper that they dig, it's gonna become more and more disheartening. The further you go down, the darker the hole gets. And so I would just want to encourage people, don't let that deter you. Don't let that push you to quitting because you feel like you can't handle it all. No one is expecting you to fix everything, but do something.
This path he was trapping, now she trapped in human trafficking. When it hurts and is doomed in disaster, my story ain't done, time to write a new chapter.
There are not enough resources in San Diego. There are not enough resources across the country. And it's a very sad part of my job.
You guys live it because each of you are in the trenches of this. And it is hard.
We wanted to know what's working and what's not when it comes to support for sex trafficking survivors. So we sat down with leaders from 10 agencies in San Diego County to find out.
What is it that you feel like people just aren't understanding?
A majority of San Diegans think, oh, human trafficking is happening elsewhere.
Traffickers at times can spot out someone who has a lot of vulnerabilities that are going on.
I was that vulnerable young woman at 12 and 13 years of age that grew up on Camp Pendleton and was solicited by Marines on a daily basis. It's right in front of us.
It touches every socioeconomic group too.
These services are needed round the clock, including during our discussion.
We end up.
Can we hit pause real quick?
The emergency phone.
Okay.
That's the emergency phone.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a hotline. Okay. From 3 to midnight. Okay.
Do you mind if we follow up with your phone call? Was that someone needing help, or can you
It's
share
the FBI. When you do the emergency response, you get calls from the FBI. You get calls from people on, that their hotline in Washington gives them our number.
So you're on call 24/7.
24/7, and we're the point of contact for the National Human Trafficking Hotline since 2004.
Last month, we had 6 women in our home, one in each different decade. So we had a teenager, somebody in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 61. She has been trafficked since she was 11 years old.
People do not understand that the victim's story does not end at, leaving the life or at being pulled out of the life.
That's when support services come in to begin a survivor's healing. Some of these women are survivors, sharing stories of the people they've dedicated their lives to helping.
I asked her what was on her mind, and she said, I fell into the ditch so hard. And it was even harder to climb out. But now that I'm out, I know that I can never go back.
Their work gives them a unique perspective on this complex issue.
As gut-wrenching as it is, exploiters were kids at one point too, right? So what have they gone through that has them actually get into the lifestyle as well?
Like James Gary, who will forever live with the label convicted sex trafficker.
I'm not going to cry a river about the things that happened to me.
Gary was convicted in 2016 of sex trafficking 2 young girls. From prison, he told us he's had time to reflect and hopes others will learn from his mistakes.
Anyone who loves you is not going to ask you to do anything that will hurt you. And I had a very distorted view. I was hurt. I haven't had any healthy relationships. I didn't know how to give that to someone else. I didn't give it much thought. Listening to me now, you know better.
Many experts on this issue say San Diego County is a national leader in the fight against sex trafficking. But in 2019, the county's grand jury said it is critically lacking in shelter beds for children and adults trying to escape their traffickers.
It's probably the most frustrating part of this is the lack of capacity.
Human trafficked kids need a program that is focused on them, because what's happening right now is they're being put into different residential treatment homes that care for SED kids, severely emotionally disturbed kids, or other kids like that, residential treatment. And it's causing a lot of problems.
But those programs require a state license, and getting a state license is a long and challenging process.
$95,000 has gone into maintaining this home that I have to keep empty until I'm licensed. And I have to have the home to go through the licensing process. And so I'm in this catch-22 of, bleeding out money for a home that can't be used.
After our interview and nearly 2.5 years of the state licensing process, the Hidden Treasures Foundation finally opened its doors in 2020. There's also education and prevention programs. A state law passed in 2018 requires sex trafficking education in public schools.
All right, SCPA students.
San Diego County has more than 238,000 students to reach, and kids are starting to get the message.
This is what you might expect when students come into the auditorium to see a presentation, but I don't know that they're really prepared for what they're about to see. They're going to see real-life simulations acted out by student actors. This is a student-written and produced presentation in collaboration with the San Diego Human Trafficking Task Force. I have to tell you, as a mom, it makes me a little nervous because I think what they're about to see is going to be really powerful.
So, you want to be my girlfriend now or what?
Yeah, I guess.
So, you ready?
Yes.
Send me a pic, yeah?
Of what?
Anything, but to be honest, I was thinking of something more.
What? Oh, I'm shy.
Don't be, girl. You send one, I send one. I'm your boyfriend. Who would I show? I won't even save it.
You're right.
Come on. You don't want me to airdrop your nudes to the whole school, do you?
How do you feel about being game changers in a dialogue of a very heavy topic, that what you did has the potential to change a situation and even save a life?
That, wow.
It's just wonderful.
It's
important.
pretty mind-blowing. It was really like eye-opening, and it helped us a lot to write the play.
We wrote it as if we were to be talking, not as if not in fake language,
We wrote it how a normal 16 and 17-year-old would speak in our times.
I think that's why they asked us to write it.
When you laugh, you know what's happening because you're uncomfortable. And talking about things like this doesn't make you feel in like a safe space.
You thought that the laughter was because they were uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's a very uncomfortable topic. It's very vulnerable.
We don't want to just make people feel uncomfortable and drag them down. We want to leave them with a sense of look around. Don't underestimate the platform that you have to potentially influence this movement for good.
There's a lot of things you can do, even if your child's not in trouble, even if your child's doing everything perfectly, you can still make an impact in the child next door.
Talk to your children about this. You talk to them about other surface things. Talk to them about things that count.
It starts with me in my home. It starts with you in your home. It starts with our children, having those deep conversations.
That's what changed my life, when one person stood up and said, I believe you, because no one had done that before. And I didn't believe in myself, so I needed someone to believe in me.
It is very hard. There's a lot of days I don't want to go do it. I don't want to speak to hundreds of people or speak at a hospital. But almost every single time, pretty much every week, we have someone who is self-identifying.
My big goal right now is to get my daughter out of that world and help as many people not go to that world, and also to pull people out of that world, no matter where they are.
It takes everyone in the community. If we just take one moment out of our day to open up our hearts to want to make a difference in even just one person's day every day, like, we could change the world that way.
If you want to help, you can be part of the solution.
Have a conversation. Get involved.
Know the risk factors and warning signs.
And if you or someone you know is a victim of trafficking, call the hotline.
There is hope, and people who are ready to help you recover what's been stolen.
All right, y'all. I'm started getting sleepy. I done ran it up to what is 3 hours, going on 3.5 hours. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get up off of here. Hope y'all enjoyed today's show. And hopefully we should be back tomorrow. All right, talk to y'all later. Good night. Have a good one.